Chapter 4502 Self-Deception. Elder June listened to Lord Huss' words and nodded. Be careful. Lord, who did not think much of it. Every time the soul-gathering pearl opened, the soul-extinguishing baleful winds would not appear. How could there be any danger? Who would have thought that just as he was about to approach the stone platform, countless soul-extinguishing baleful winds would suddenly appear? If not for his high cultivation level, he would probably have been sliced into 1,000 pieces. Even so, he was badly hurt and let out a pig-like scream. Fortunately, those evil spirits only around the stone platform, or the consequences will be more serious. All of a sudden, everybody panics. What's going on? Jun Lao's face changed. Kneel, all kneel. Tiger must have offended the ghost ancestor. We quickly apologize. Yun Chujio heaved a sigh of relief. She pondered in her heart. Could this soul-extinguishing baleful wind be intentionally protecting her? It was not that she was narcissistic. The main reason was that this soul-extinguishing baleful wind did not appear earlier or later. It just had to appear when Lord Hu came to check on the stone platform. It was obvious that he was afraid that she would be discovered. Hei Shinjio saw that the crisis had temporarily been resolved and continued to cultivate. If she did not absorb such dense soul power, then she would be a fool. Elder June and the others saw that the soul-extinguishing baleful winds had been circling around the stone platform. Even though they were suspicious, they did not dare to approach it. They could only wait pitifully for the soul power to return to normal. Hei Shinjio was initially distracted by observing the situation outside. Later on, her cultivation gradually reached a state where she completely forgot about everything around her. She felt that her cultivation posture was a little uncomfortable. She pushed the stone platform to the side with a palm and sat cross-legged in the groove to continue her cultivation. After this fellow had done all these things, she realized that she had fucking tricked herself. The evil spirit's gazes fell on Hei Shinjio, filled with worry. Hei Xinjia's mind buzzed. She was playing tricks to court death. Couldn't she just cultivate in there? Why did she have to open the stone platform? What should she do now? Hei Shinjio didn't have any good ideas at the moment, so she could only stay put. She didn't move and acted according to the situation. This fellow took some time to look around and found that although there was a dazzling white light in the surroundings, she didn't see the so-called soul-gathering pearl. What was going on? However, when this fellow saw the soul-extinguishing baleful wind gathered near the stone platform, she heaved a sigh of relief. No matter what, with these free bodyguards she could still have some confidence. After a deathly silence, Li Ji shrieked, "No wonder so many abnormal things have happened in the past 2 days. It's all because of this bitch." She deliberately entered our 10,000 spirits cave and deliberately destroyed the statue of the ghost ancestor. Now she's hiding under the stone platform sneakily. She must have ulterior motives. Li Ji's words attracted a lot of people's agreement. Yes, it must be because of this new drifter. Before she came, everything was as usual. But since she came, everything has gone into chaos. She must have deliberately removed the ears of the ghost ancestor statue. Her purpose is to enter the soul-gathering cave so that we can't absorb soul power. It's simply her intention to be killed. Elder June, such a person deserves to die. Please give the order. Let's go up and kill her. Yes, kill her. All of a sudden, the soul-gathering cave was filled with shouts of killing. Chuamo looked at Hei Shinjio, who was wearing a blank expression, and felt like her heart was going crazy. You should have just been hiding. Why did you come out of nowhere? Do you want to die? Chapter 4503, I am the ghost ancestor. Hei Xinjia's intestines were turning green from regret. However, it had already happened. What was the use of regret? However, what should she do now? Although those soul-extinguishing baleful winds were powerful, if so many people were determined to kill her, she probably wouldn't be able to escape. How great would it be if this damnable teleportation array was activated at this time? No matter where she was teleported to, it was still better than waiting for death here. However, teleportation arrays could not be used just like that. This method could basically be ignored. Fight them head-on? Of course they could not win. Run? Of course they could not run either. Were they just going to wait for death? One of Hei Xinjia's advantages was that she was calmer in times of emergency. Although her heart was in turmoil, she was calm on the surface, as if she did not care about the shouts of the crowd. When this guy saw those soul-destroying murderous winds, his eyes rolled as he had an idea. She shouted coldly, "How dare you? Why aren't you kneeling when you see me?" You even shouted loudly. "Have your manners been eaten by dogs?" Chuamo staggered and almost sat on the ground. Was little Gio possessed or scared out of her mind? The crowd was also stunned. What nonsense did this new drifter say? Li Ji pouted. Bitch, stop pretending to be crazy. Do you think you can survive like this? Dream on. I? Kneel down to you? Do you think you are the ghost ancestor? Yun Chujio looked at Li Ji with a cold gaze. I am the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor, so I am naturally the ghost ancestor. Li Ji was stunned at first, then she laughed out loud. You useless piece of trash who doesn't even know how to control the air actually said that you are the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor. Do you think we are all idiots? Yun Chujio looked at Li Ji as if she was looking at an idiot. Then she silently chanted a chant and her body rose into the air, floating in mid-air. Li Ji looked at Yun Chujio in disbelief. Clearly, only a black rank 2-star could use the air-controlling technique. How did she do it? The corners of her lips curled up slightly. Am a piece of trash? I've only just awakened my memories, so there are many things that need to be slowly recalled before I can remember. If I am not the ghost ancestor, why would these soul-extinguishing baleful winds protect me? Also, my cultivation has clearly reached at least 2 stars of the black rank, but there is no mole between my brows. This is enough to show the difference between me and you. For a moment, the evil spirits were all dumbstruck as they looked at Hei Shinjio floating in the air. Could she really be the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor? This was too unbelievable, wasn't it? Li Ji wanted to say something more, but she didn't dare to make a sound because of Elder Jun's cold and ruthless glance. Elder Jun sized up Hei Shinjio, who had returned to the ground, and said with a cold expression, the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor is not a trivial matter. We can't just recognize your identity based on the matter of the soul-extinguishing baleful wind. Yun Chujio chuckled and said, then how do you want to verify it? If you want me to fight with you, then forget it. After all, I have just awakened my memory, so it's impossible for me to beat you. Elder Jun sneered and said, of course I won't let you fight with me. There are 3 big words handwritten by the ghost ancestor at the entrance of the 10,000 Spirits Cave. If you write it once now, it's fine if it's ordinary, but if it's different, humph. What's so difficult about that? Just order someone to bring me a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone, Hei Shinjio said lightly. This fellow thought that if it was someone else's handwriting, she might not be able to imitate it well. Just that dog-like handwriting of ghost ancestor. It was not that she was bragging, but it was exactly the same as before she practiced calligraphy with the pretty boy. It was so ugly. Chapter 4504. Dog crawl in the crowd. Chuemo looked at Hei Shinjio worriedly. The word ghost ancestor was really ugly. Could little Jio imitate it? Li Ji stared at Yun Chujio viciously. She didn't believe that she was the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor. It must be an excuse that this bitch was afraid of death. As long as her handwriting didn't match, she would be killed immediately. Soon someone brought a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone. It was probably also found on the bodies of those who had entered the cave. Yun Chujio spread the paper on the stone platform and wrote the words 10,000 Spirits Caved without any hesitation. Then she threw the brush aside and said pretentiously, you guys can compare it with it. If it's even a little bit different, then I'm lying. Elder Jun looked at the 3 dog-like words on the paper. To be honest, even if he did not go out to compare it, he still felt that it was very similar. After all, such ugly words could not be written by ordinary people. He frowned. Although the ghost ancestor's handwriting is very unique, if someone spent time they could imitate it. So, this does not prove that you are the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor. Hei Shinjio was furious. Since she could not prove it, then what was she supposed to write? Elder Jun did not believe that Yun Chujio was the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor at all. However, he knew that because of the matter of extinguishing soul and Sha Feng, many people present were skeptical. It was not appropriate for him to kill her directly. He had thought that he could expose her by relying on her handwriting. Who would have thought that she would actually write the word dog crawl that was on par with the ghost ancestor? Elder Hu and Wan Xiong looked at each other. They naturally did not want Yun Chujio to be the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor. If she was really the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor, how could they have their lives? Hence, Elder Hu went forward and said, Elder Jun, since she said that she was the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor, it is easy to prove her identity. Let's bring her there. We will know whether it is true or not with just one look. Wan Xiong echoed from the side, that's right. No matter how cunning she is, when she gets there, she has to reveal her true form. Elder Jun pondered for a moment, then said to Yun Chujio, if you go back on your words now, it's still not too late. Otherwise your true form will be revealed later. Yun Chujio thought to herself, at this time, the arrow is already on the bow, How could there be any room for regret? If she admitted that she wasn't the ghost ancestor, wouldn't she be dead? Hence, this fellow's face was calm and composed. If you have any ideas, just come and try them. True gold isn't afraid of fire. In the reincarnation of the real ghost ancestor, what am I afraid of? Needless to say, this fellow's actions made many people believe her words. Could this little Gio really be the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor? Elder June snorted when he saw this. Since you're so stubborn, then follow me. Elder June turned around and walked out of the cave. Hei Xingjiu was in a difficult position. She was still protected by the soul-extinguishing evil wind in the cave. If she went out, wouldn't she be slaughtered by others? However, if she didn't go out, wouldn't it mean that she had a guilty conscience? This guy gritted his teeth and swaggered behind Elder June. When Elder June saw that Yun Chujio actually followed him out without any hesitation, he was also a little uncertain. Could it be that she was really the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor? The others also followed him out of the soul-gathering cave. The soul-extinguishing baleful wind surrounding the stone platform also disappeared in an instant. Yun Chujio's heart was in a mess. Where was Elder June going to take her? After Elder June left the tunnel, he ordered someone to move the statue of the ghost ancestor away. It turned out that there was a dark cave entrance. Elder June ordered someone to bring the illuminating bead. Yun Chujio saw that there were stone steps one step at a time. She could not see the end at a glance, and she did not know where it led to. Chapter 4505 Soul Gathering Pearl. The group walked down the stone steps for an unknown period of time. Hei Xingjiu thought that Elder June was trying to tire her to death when she finally saw the ground. She did not know what mechanism Elder June had activated, but it instantly lit up. Yun Chujio looked around and found that this place was very spacious, but it was empty. What did this mean? When everyone came down, Elder June knelt down. The people behind also knelt on the ground. Hei Xingjiu blinked her eyes. She had set herself as the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor, so she naturally could not kneel. Otherwise, wouldn't she show her cowardice? Elder June did not care about her. He first kowtowed 3 times respectfully before standing up and taking out a jade token and placing it on the wall. Yun Chujio then realized that there was an inconspicuous groove on the wall. As the jade token was placed on the wall, the entire wall was split into 2 and an entrance appeared. Yun Chujio only felt a cold and bone-chilling air coming out from within and could not help but shiver. Elder June glanced at her and revealed a cold smile as he took the lead to enter. Yun Chujio quickly followed him in, but what she saw stunned her. This was a huge stone room. There were 5 black beads floating above their heads, and the 5 beads emitted a thick, cold aura. Their appearance was actually very similar to the beads that the black beads had swallowed. However, these 5 beads had a faint red glow on them. There was a stone platform in the middle of the stone room, and some cabbages were placed on it. Yun Chujio immediately recognized that these were cabbages that had been transported from the soul-gathering cave. The reason why this fellow was so certain was because there were a few cabbages among them, only the cabbages had no leaves. Cough cough, the leaves were naturally eaten by her because this fellow had shamelessly started to be picky about food. The other people's gazes also fell on the cabbage gang without any vegetable leaves, but no one dared to say anything. Hei Xingjiu thought to herself, it seems that Elder June and the others know about the teleportation array. Moreover, the teleportation array was used to transport the cabbage here. It's really cunning. But, did those cabbage really get eaten by the soul-gathering pearls? While Hei Xingjiu was indulging in her imagination, Elder June said in a deep voice, the soul-gathering pearls are floating on it. Since you said that you are the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor, you will naturally be recognized by them. As long as you can get one of the pearls, we will admit your identity. Otherwise it means that you are a fake. We will kill you without mercy. Yun Chujio's eyes flickered. It seemed that the pearls had some tricks up their sleeves. If they could be picked casually, wouldn't these people have taken them all for themselves? She chuckled. What you said isn't right. I've only awakened a little bit of my memories, and these soul-gathering pearls haven't seen me for a long time. It's normal that they can't recognize me at once. If you kill me because I can't get the soul-gathering pearl, it would be too hasty. I think you'd better find another way. Before Elder June could say anything, Li Ji said sharply, stop pretending. You're a fake. Otherwise, why wouldn't you dare to pick the soul-gathering pearl? Do you think you're smart? You're an idiot. Shut up. Is this where you make a big fuss? Elder June said fiercely. Li Ji's face turned pale and she didn't dare to say anything. However, she looked at Yun Chujio with a vicious gaze. This bitch was dead for sure. Chapter 4506 turned into ashes after Elder June reprimanded Li Ji. He said to Yun Chujio, "Cut the crap. If you can't take off a soul-gathering pearl, no matter if you're telling the truth or not, don't even think about leaving this place." Yun Chujio knew that she was forcing a duck onto the shelf, so she could only brace herself to do it. Chuamo looked at Yun Chujio worriedly. She wanted to say something, but there was nothing she could say. These soul-gathering pearls could release Yin energy, which was 10,000 times more brutal than the soul-extinguishing baleful wind. As long as she got close to the soul-gathering pearls, she would turn into ashes. Yun Chujio spread her hands. "All right, since you insist, I'll take one down for you to see." She walked to the bottom of the soul-gathering pearls and narrowed her eyes to take a look. Then she muttered, "Little baby, hurry up and come to the little miss. The little miss misses you so much." Everyone, this was not the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor. This was a fucking lunatic. "Little beauty, all of you are so beautiful that you can topple a country and a city. You are so beautiful. The red halo is so charming. Come to the little sister and let her have a good look." Hei Shinjio kissed the 5 pearls for a long time, but there was no response from them. Hei Shinjio thought to herself, this is fucking awkward. Is she really going to fly up and take them? Even if she thought with her heels she would not end up well if she got close to those pearls. Otherwise, these people would have taken them long ago. She was not the real reincarnation of the ghost ancestor. If she got close, wouldn't she be courting death? What should she do now? Just as this fellow was worrying, Lord Hu said coldly, "Elder June, this bitch must be stalling for time. I think we should just drag her out and kill her." Wan Xiong echoed, "Exactly. She's obviously trying to be mysterious. If she's the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor, it must be a red rain. How can the ghost ancestor be such a waste?" Elder June did not believe that Yun Chujio was the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor. Hearing that, he said coldly, "What else do you have to say? Men, drag her out. Kill her." "Wait. I was just warming up. Isn't it just picking these pearls? What's so difficult about it?" Hei Shinjio said with a pout. This guy complained in his heart. Picking them was a death sentence and not picking them was a death sentence. He was really worried to death. His eyes swept over the cabbages and his eyes suddenly lit up. He picked up a cabbages and threw them at one of the pearls. It was unknown whether the pearl was distracted or not, but it was hit by the cabbages and fell to the ground. Hei Shinjio did not dare to approach the soul-gathering pearl. Instead, she said pretentiously, "See? With my status, I don't even need to pick the soul-gathering pearls myself. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and kneel to me. Everybody, how is this possible?" Li Ji looked at the pearl greedily. As long as she swallowed the soul-gathering pearl, she would be able to obtain a physical body and leave this damn place. Therefore, she took a few steps forward to claim the soul-gathering pearl for herself. However, before she could get close to the pearl, she shrieked and turned into ashes. Hei Shinjio was shocked and rejoiced in her heart. Fortunately, she was smart enough to use cabbage to smash it down. If she were to pick it up herself, wouldn't she end up like Li Ji? No wonder these people had set up an array to absorb the soul power of the soul-gathering pearl. It turned out that this thing was so terrifying. Chapter 4507 was thrown away. Li Ji's ashes caused a commotion. Everyone stepped back, afraid that they would end up like Li Ji. Yun Chujio saw that no one was paying attention to her, so she hugged a cabbage and started eating. Although it was a little degrading, she was hungry. Although eating too much cabbage was a little boring, there was nothing else to eat here, so she could only make do with it. Everyone's initial fear was immediately attracted by this fellow. One had to know that they didn't need to eat anything at all, so how could this little Joe eat cabbage? Could it be that she was really the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor? After all, the ghost ancestor loved cabbage the most. Lord Huss' face was very pale. On one hand, he was frightened by Li Ji's death, and on the other hand, he was afraid that Yun Chujio's identity as the ghost ancestor would be confirmed, and then he would have no way of surviving. He said with a stern expression, "That was thrown down with cabbage. It can't be considered as you picking it yourself. Unless you can pick up the soul-gathering pearl on the ground, otherwise you are a fake." Wan Xiong also echoed repeatedly, "Yes, that doesn't count. Unless you have it in your hand, otherwise, you are a fake ghost ancestor with evil intentions." Elder June was also unwilling to confirm Yun Chujio's identity as a ghost. After all, without Yun Chujio he would be the leader of the 10,000 ghost lair. Who would want to have one on his head? Moreover, this little girl's cultivation was so weak. Why would she have one on his head? Therefore he said in a deep voice, "That's right. Unless you're holding the soul-gathering pearl in your hand, otherwise you're just spouting nonsense. Hei Xingjiu secretly complained in her heart. Li Ji was dead before she even got close to her. If she went to pick up the pearl, she would be courting death. However, if she did not pick it up, these people would not be kind to her. Damn it, if she was really the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor, she would definitely torture these dregs to death. Unfortunately, she was not. Just when Hei Xingjiu was about to hit the wall, the soul-gathering pearl on the ground suddenly rushed towards her. Hei Xingjiu was so scared that she screamed and threw the half-eaten cabbage in her hand. The cabbage hit the soul-gathering pearl and forcefully threw the soul-gathering pearl into the stone wall. Yun Chujiu, to be honest, she just threw it casually. Why did she throw it with so much force? Everyone, could the cabbage be the nemesis of the soul-gathering pearl? Could that little Jew just throw it casually and hit it? For a moment, everyone fell silent again. At this moment, the bead that had been slapped into the wall rushed towards Hei Xingjiu again. Hei Xingjiu picked up a cabbage and threw it again, and the miserable bead was once again slapped into the stone wall. After a while, the bead rushed out again. Everyone was dumbfounded as they watched Yun Chujiu repeatedly smash the soul-gathering bead into the stone wall with the cabbage. Hei Xingjiu rolled her eyes and evil thoughts came to her mind. She deliberately moved closer to Elder June and the others, scaring them so much that they retreated in fear of being turned into ashes by the soul-gathering pearl. Hei Xingjiu thought to herself, "You want to kill me? I'll kill you all." Just as she was feeling proud, she did not expect the other 4 soul-gathering pearls to also rush towards her. Her head buzzed. No matter how precise she threw them, it was impossible for her to hit all 5 soul-gathering pearls at the same time. It was over. She was about to turn into ashes. She had yet to have sex with the gigolo, she had yet to find her biological parents, and she had yet to find a way to go back and see Chi-Chi. Was she going to die just like that? Chapter 4508, Kill Him. When this guy thought that he was going to die for sure, the 5 pearls had already arrived by her side and were flying around her. Hei Xingjiu was stunned to find that she seemed to be completely fine. After being stunned for a moment, Hei Xingjiu immediately began to show off. "Did you see that? These soul-gathering pearls are playing with me. What else do you have to say this time? Hurry up and kneel down." Everyone stared at each other. Playing? Why did it seem like she was running for her life just now? However, no matter what, it seemed like those soul-gathering pearls really did not harm her at all. Could it be that she was really the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor? Yun Chujiu saw that everyone did not react and snorted coldly. "If any of you dare to doubt me again, I will let the soul-gathering pearl die. All of you kneel down." Lord Hu gritted his teeth. "Bitch, you must have used some kind of method to prevent the soul-gathering pearl from hurting you. You can't be the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor. I, Lord Hu, will not recognize you." Yun Chujiu sneered. "Who do you think you are? What does it matter whether you recognize me or not? Little Zhuju, kill him." Yun Chujiu also finished her words. She then realized that she had no way to command these soul-gathering pearls. Wasn't this a slap to her own face? Lord Hu was initially frightened and took a few steps back. However, when he saw that the 5 soul-gathering pearls were only flying around Yun Chujiu and did not attack him, he immediately shouted, "I already said that you used an unspeakable method. If you have the ability, then you can command the soul-gathering pearls to kill me." Yun Chujiu knew that if she did not kill Lord Hu, it would have the effect of killing one to warn the others. These people would still not recognize her identity. However, how could she command these soul-gathering pearls? When this fellow saw the cabbages scattered on the ground, he suddenly thought of those drifters. His heart moved and he said with a smile, "As long as you kill that scum, I'll play the game of destroying cabbages with you, okay?" The red halo on the 5 soul-gathering pearls immediately lit up, and then several soul-extinguishing baleful winds swept towards Lord Hu. Lord Tiger was still feeling pleased with himself. Who would have thought that the soul-extinguishing baleful gales would suddenly attack him? Immediately, several wounds appeared on his body, and he started wailing like a ghost. Seeing this, Hei Xingjiu burst into laughter. She stomped her feet and shouted, "Good job. Cut him into 1,000 pieces and kill him." This fellow thought to himself, so those soul-extinguishing baleful gales were made by these soul-gathering pearls. These pearls looked much more powerful than the black pearls that had eaten their fill for nothing. Thinking of the black pearl, Yun Chujiu's mood sank. She didn't know where Buttface, the black pearl, and the others had been trapped and how they had disappeared. She thought of Buttface's crying voice in her dream again, and her heart ached. Although she always scolded them and bullied them, it didn't mean that others could bully them. She would definitely save them. While Yun Chujio was distracted, Lord Tiger had already been killed by those soul-destroying evil winds. Yun Chujio's face was very gloomy as she thought of Butt-Face and the others. She pointed at the trembling Wan Xiong and said, "Kill him too." Wan Xiong quickly begged for mercy. "Ghost Ancestor, I was wrong. Please spare me. I admit that you are the Ghost Ancestor." Yun Chujio sneered and said, "I am the Ghost Ancestor to begin with. Why do I need you to admit it? Kill him." Although this fellow said so on the surface, he was thinking in his heart, "Ghost Ancestor, this matter is urgent. I will borrow your identity to use first. Don't blame me." Chapter 4509. Killing the chicken to warn the monkeys. After hearing Yun Chujio's words, the soul-extinguishing baleful winds immediately rushed towards Luan Xiong. Luan Xiong knew that it was useless to beg Yun Chujio, so he shouted at Elder Jun, "Elder Jun, help! Help! This bitch wants to kill us one by one." "You can't be fooled." Luan Xiong was killed by the soul-extinguishing baleful winds before he could speak. He Xingjia's move was obviously very effective. Elder Jun's eyes flashed, but he still took the lead and knelt on the ground. "Greetings, Ghost Ancestor. We are sorry for what we have done. Please forgive us and forgive us." Yin Chujio was so smart. At first glance, it was obvious that Elder Jun did not agree with her, but he was temporarily obedient because of the situation. Yun Chujio had just arrived, so it was not appropriate for her to kill Elder Jun. She said with a smile, "It's not strange if you don't know. Besides, it's not wrong for you to be more careful. Get up." Hearing that, everyone stood up. Chuamo was completely dumbfounded. Little Gio had become a Ghost Ancestor? This was too unbelievable, wasn't it? Actually, Hei Xingjiu was feeling guilty now, because she knew that she was an imposter. The guy coughed dryly. "Little gentleman, I've just awakened my memories and I can't remember many things. Tell me what you know." "Little gentleman?" Elder Jun's old face immediately twitched like a steamed bun. But he did not dare to say anything. He could only bow and say, "Ghost Ancestor, our memories are also missing a lot. We've only gradually regained our intelligence more than 10 years ago. The things that we can remember are also very limited." Yun Chujio frowned and pointed at the stone platform. "Then, did you guys build this teleportation formation before or after?" "We did build it after. Although we lost a lot of our memories, some of us still remember some of the formations. In order to avoid being accidentally injured by the soul-gathering pearl while cultivating here, and also to prevent others from monopolizing the soul-gathering pearl, we built this formation." Elder Jun explained. Yin Chujio thought about it. There were thousands of people here, so it was not surprising that there were people who knew about formations. Then she asked, "Then why did you offer the cabbage to the soul-gathering pearl? Could it be that they can eat cabbage?" Elder Jun choked. "At the beginning, we only wanted to store the excess cabbage here, but we didn't expect to find that all the cabbage here had disappeared, so it should have been eaten by these soul-gathering pearls. Look, weren't there a few cabbages on the stone platform that had lost their cabbages?" Hei Xingjiu touched her nose. The cabbages were clearly eaten by her. All the cabbages had been eaten by the soul-gathering pearls. She didn't believe it. There must be something fishy going on. Yun Chujio suddenly remembered something and asked, "Let me ask you, who set up the life extermination array outside the cave of 10,000 ghosts?" Elder Jun said awkwardly, "After we woke up, the life extermination array was there. As for who set it up, we don't know. However, since the life extermination array was activated 3 years ago, no outsiders have entered this place. We are happy to be alone." "Who activated it?" "Those people wore masks on their faces. Because they didn't have any conflict of interest with us, we didn't go out to investigate," Elder Jun said. Yun Chujio felt that those people were most likely Princess Maiyan's guards, because 3 years ago was when Princess Maiyan successfully possessed the body. Yun Chujio frowned. Everything seemed to be arranged by someone. But what was the ultimate goal of the person behind the scenes? Chapter 4510. The Ghost Ancestor was wise who gave Princess Maiyan that bead? Did he give it to her after she possessed it, or did he give it to her 10,000 years ago? Did the mastermind want to kill her, or did he want to lure her into the den of 10,000 ghosts? The more Hei Xingjiu thought about it, the more clueless she became. Everything was like a fog. However, since she had a firm footing for the time being, the most important thing now was to bring the pretty boy in Aog in. In this way she could be considered to have a helper. Therefore, she said indifferently, "We'll talk about these things later. Let's leave this place first. Little Pearl, are you guys going to leave with me? Or are you guys going to stay here first?" The reason why this fellow asked this was because she had no confidence in taking away these soul-gathering pearls. In order to avoid losing face, it was better to give herself a way out first. The 5 soul-gathering pearls began to tremble violently. One of them flew toward a cabbage and a red halo flickered. Yun Chujia's mouth twitched. She then remembered the promise she had made just now. These pearls were meant for her to accompany them in the game of smashing. With no other choice, Hei Xinjiu could only pick up the cabbage on the ground and start smashing the pearls. Old June and the rest, were the soul-gathering pearls crazy or were they crazy? Why did it feel like everything was a dream? Hei Xinjiu was so tired that she panted and promised to play with them again in 2 days. Only then did the pearls let this guy go. Hei Xinjiu wiped her sweat and said, "Let's go, let's talk outside. I'm so tired." Everyone could not wait to leave as soon as possible. If they stayed for too long, the cold chi here would also harm them. Outside the stone room, the walls were closed again. Elder June wanted to put away the jade token, but when he saw Yun Chujia's covetous gaze, he said painfully, "Ghost Ancestor, it's better for you to keep this jade token. Although it's a little troublesome, I've always been considerate of my subordinates, so I'll just reluctantly keep it." Hei Xinjiu snatched the jade token from Elder June's hand and stuffed it into her sleeve pocket. Elder June. He thought to himself that it wouldn't be too late to deal with this little girl when they reached the top without the soul-extinguishing gale and the soul-gathering pearl. Although her handwriting was similar to the ghost ancestors and she was muddle-headed enough to make the soul-gathering pearls listen to her, he still didn't believe that she was the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor. He would hold her down in a while and interrogate her properly. Hei Xinjiu was very shrewd. She had guessed Elder June's thoughts most likely. Therefore, as she climbed up the stairs, she began to plan her plans for a while. The soul-gathering pearls did not follow her out. It was likely that they had no way of leaving the stone room or were guarding something. She had wanted to stay there all the way, but after thinking about it, she gave up. If Elder June did not give her cabbages, wouldn't she starve to death? Besides, who knew if those pearls would go crazy? What if she died? But what should they do in a while? After about 2 hours, everyone returned to the top. Elder June was about to make a move when he heard Yun Chujiu say in a crisp voice, "Little ones, it hasn't been easy for you to stay here all these years. If you cultivate step by step, I'm afraid it will take a long time for you to cultivate to a physical form. How about this, when I communicate with those soul-gathering pearls in 2 days, he'll have them shorten the time between the opening. This way you'll be able to speed up your cultivation speed." The evil spirits were most concerned about cultivating to a physical form, so when they heard this, they instantly became excited. "Thank you, Ghost Ancestor. Ghost Ancestor is wise. As expected of our Ghost Ancestor, he really thinks of us everywhere." Chapter 4511 Xiao Jiu's guts were too big. Elder June was furious to death. This damn girl was indeed cunning. She had managed to win over these idiots with a piece of pie. If he were to fall out with her now, most of the people would probably stand on her side. He could only continue to endure and look for an opportunity. If she could not shorten the opening interval of those soul-gathering pearls in a few days, it would not be too late for him to deal with her. Hei Xinjiu glanced at Elder June's sullen face and was secretly happy. "Little brat, are you playing tricks on me? I'll torture you to death." She waved her hand. "This is what I should do. Since I brought you here, I naturally have to be responsible for you. Little gentleman, open the enchantment and let my 2 companions in. To tell you the truth, the man who is very compatible with me is Xing Zun of the Yen clan. With his help, I believe that you will be able to obtain a physical body faster." Although these evil spirits had lost a lot of their memories, Xing Zun of the Yen clan had heard of them before. They were all revealing their gossipy expressions. Why did it sound like Xing Zun of the Yen clan was having an affair with their ghost ancestor? Oh my, there didn't seem to be such rumors before. When did their ghost ancestor hook up with Xing Zun without a sound? Even though Elder June was 120 times unwilling, he still opened the enchantment. D. Biming and Aog had been guarding the entrance of the cave, but there was an enchantment at the entrance, so they could not enter. D. Biming wanted to break the enchantment, but he was afraid that he would harm Yun Chujiu, so he could only wait anxiously. When they saw the enchantment open, they could not wait to enter. When they saw the situation, they could not help but be stunned, especially Aog, who was dumbfounded. They saw Yun Chujiu sitting on a chair, crossing her legs and eating cabbage. And behind her stood many evil spirits, all of them respectfully, not daring to even breathe loudly. Aog thought to himself, "It has only been a few days, and little Jiu has already subdued these evil spirits. This is too magical, right? Although Di Biming was a little surprised, but compared to Aog he was much calmer. In just an instant he recovered his calm expression. Yun Chujio thought to herself, it was still her pretty boy's mental quality that was good. Aog was obviously someone who had never seen the world. However, when he thought that the two of them left without leaving any food for her, he was instantly furious. He glared at the two of them fiercely. Aog was stunned by the glare, but the situation was not clear yet, so he could not say anything. Little gentleman, this lord is a little tired and wants to rest. Do you think this lord is still living on the 18th floor? Yun Chujio said faintly. Jun Lao was so angry that he was twitching. Of course he understood what Yun Chujio meant. This stinky girl must have taken a fancy to his cave. But he did not dare to refuse, so he could only say, Ghost Ancestor, how can I still let you live on the 18th floor? This lord's cave is more spacious. I will pack up my things. You can stay there. Yun Chujio nodded. Alright, then you can go and pack up. Also, I can't not have a maid by my side. Chuamo, you can stay by my side. Chuamo still had not recovered from the shock and nodded in a daze. If Aog had not been clutching his palm, he would have cried out in shock. Oh God! Was there something wrong with his ears? What did that old man call little Gio? Ghost Ancestor? Little Gio? Ghost Ancestor? How could these two people be the same person? Little Gio must have used some tricks to impersonate the Ghost Ancestor. She was too bold. She even dared to impersonate the Ghost Ancestor. How audacious. Chapter 45:12 You might really be the Ghost Ancestor. Elder Jun sullenly gave up his cave and moved to the original Tiger Lord's cave. Yun Chujio swaggered into the cave with Di Biming and Aog, letting Chuemo stand guard at the entrance. Chuemo was not stupid. She knew that she and Yun Chujio were now in the same boat. If Yun Chujio's position was stable, she would also soar. Once Yun Chujio fell, she would not be able to survive. Therefore Yun Chujio did not need to say much. She would also dutifully guard the outside. Even so, Yun Chujio was not at ease. After asking Aog to open an isolation array, the three of them began to talk. Little Gio, you are too bold. You even dare to pretend to be the Ghost Ancestor? Aog said in a low voice. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. If I didn't have the wisdom to pretend to be the Ghost Ancestor in a hurry, do you think I would still be alive? Then Yun Chujio recounted what had happened in the past few days. Then what should we do next? You are not the real Ghost Ancestor, you will be exposed sooner or later. By the way, did you get the Soul Gathering Pearl? Aog asked with concern. Yun Chujio sighed. I wanted to get the 5 Soul Gathering Pearls, but they were very strange, so I didn't dare to act rashly. Besides, the main thing is that I don't know how to use those soul-gathering pearls to condense a physical body. Should I bring them with me or directly swallow them into my stomach? Is one enough, or do I have to get all 5? Don't those evil spirits know? Aog asked again. Their method is to use the soul power emitted by the soul-gathering pearls to cultivate. Although this method is safe, it takes too long, Yun Chujio said with disdain. Aog also frowned when he heard that. Although there were some developments, it was still useless. Could it be that they wanted to leave little Gio here to cultivate? Aog realized that ever since he entered this place, Di Biming had not said a word. He pursed his lips in his heart. He even said that his love for little Gio was stronger than gold, but it was just nice. Otherwise, how could he turn a blind eye to little Gio? Your Excellency, what do you think? Don't tell me you really left little Gio here to cultivate? Besides, if little Gio's fake Ghost Ancestor identity is exposed, I'm afraid none of us will benefit, Aog asked unhappily. Although Yun Chujio's image in his heart was somewhat disillusioned, when he saw his former love rival treat her so slowly, he still felt angry. Di Biming's expression was somewhat solemn as he said slowly, perhaps, little Gio is really the Ghost Ancestor. Aog almost sat on the ground. This lord was crazy, right? Little Gio was the Ghost Ancestor? Stop teasing him. According to the records, the Ghost Ancestor was an extraordinary figure. How could little Gio be the Ghost Ancestor? Hey, Shinjio was stunned at first, then she giggled. Prince Charming, are you talking nonsense? It's not like you don't know my identity, how can I be the Ghost Ancestor? Don't tease me. Di Biming knew that Yun Chujio was referring to her identity before she transmigrated. He said solemnly, although there are some parts that don't make sense, don't you think that everything is too coincidental? The 3 words outside the cave were almost exactly the same as what you wrote before. Also, why didn't those soul-gathering pearls attack you? Why did they pester you and play with you? Also, Those drifters had been pestering you since the towering sky continent, and they couldn't wait to bring you to the ghost realm. In addition, the speed at which you cultivate your soul power is clearly abnormal. All of these things indicate that you are very likely the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor. Chapter 45:13 He Xinjia's jaw dropped in shock. She had never thought about it before, so she did not think much of it. However, after hearing what Di Biming said, it was true. No wonder she felt that the three dog-like characters at the entrance of the cave looked familiar. It was exactly the same as what she had written before. Especially the soul-gathering pearl and the soul-extinguishing baleful wind that they emitted, the only thing that did not attack her. Could it be that she was really the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor? The more she thought about it, the more she felt that this possibility was very high. However, why did she not have any memories? Could it be that there was a seal in her body? Also, according to the records, the ghost ancestor was a godlike existence in the ghost realm at that time. Why did it disappear later, and why did it become her? One had to know that the modern world she was originally in was completely different from this place. What exactly happened back then? Yun Chujio only felt that everything was a mess. She could not make sense of it at all. There was also the Divine Devil Hall and that piece of trash Lan Luochen who said that everyone wanted Di Biming to die. It was as if everything was being controlled from behind the scenes. They were just chess pieces that were set up by someone. Yun Chujio was initially a little wary of Aog. However, after going through life and death, she had also treated him as one of her people. Hence, she asked Di Biming directly, "What happened? Prince Charming, you suddenly disappeared after breaking through that day. What exactly happened? Did you really go to personally pick out the spirit souls? Why did you come back as the Lord of Shengzun?" Aoj's eyes immediately widened. He was also very curious. Where did this lord appear and disappear from? Shengzun shook his head and said with a bitter smile, "I didn't pick any spirit souls. When I broke through to the 9th layer of the origin realm, I was teleported back to the Dark Continent. I don't know if I triggered some seal or not. And the strange thing is that even though I'm in the immortal soul state, I still have a physical body in the Dark Continent. Due to the loss of my memory, I was unable to find the entrance to the ghost realm. It was only when Aog and the others mobilized their troops that I followed them into the ghost realm." Yun Chujio thought that it made sense. What Buttface said about choosing a spirit soul sounded unreliable. Perhaps it was fabricated by that dumbass to deceive her. Thinking of Buttface, this fellow did not feel very good. However, the most important thing now was to think of a way to condense a physical body before trying to find their whereabouts. The root of all this was on the bead that Princess Mayenne crushed. However, Princess Mayenne was already dead and the bead was destroyed. What kind of bead was that? He thought that it was just a spirit-locking bead, but it seemed that he was wrong. After a moment of silence, Di Biming said, "Since those spirit-locking beads didn't hurt you, why don't you try to subdue them? They should know how to make you condense a physical body quickly." Yun Chujio nodded. She had no other choice but to give it a try. At this moment, He Xinjia's stomach growled. She glared at the two of them. "I just remembered that you didn't leave me anything to eat when you left? I would have starved to death if it weren't for those cabbages. Hurry up and make me something to eat. I want to eat meat. If I eat cabbages every day, I will turn into a rabbit." Aog immediately took out a few meat buns and handed them to He Xinjio. He Xinjio took them and started munching on them. Meat was still the most delicious. Di Biming frowned at the side. "Little Jiu, why are you hungry now when you don't have a physical body? And you can still eat so many things? You can't have already condensed a physical body, right?" Chapter 45:14 He must have been blind back then. He Xinjio rolled her eyes at Di Biming. "Nonsense. I was still a drifter when I went out to take care of the cabbages. Where did I get a physical body? That was a few days ago. Moreover, you hadn't eaten anything back then. Go out and try it now." Di Biming still felt that his judgment was correct. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes impatiently, but she still left the cave and walked towards the tunnel. Chuamo did not understand and did not dare to ask, so he followed behind. Elder Jun had been watching the movements here. When he saw Yun Chujio and the others walking out, he thought that Yun Chujio was trying to escape, so he quickly chased after them. The others did not understand and followed behind. He Xinjio walked to the entrance of the tunnel and looked at Di Biming provocatively. The meaning was self-evident. Very soon he would be slapped in the face. However, after this guy walked into the tunnel, he found that he was still grounded. This guy jumped a few times in disbelief and even pulled out a few cabbages with his hands. It turned out to be real? What was going on? After being stunned for a while, he quickly looked into his dantian and was surprised to find that the three foodies, Guai Chao and Guai Chao, were still cooped up in his dantian. However, Buttface and Guai Chao were nowhere to be seen. Yin Chujio was really confused. Why were the three foodies not lost but the other two? She wanted to ask the three foodies but they couldn't speak. Guai Chao was still shamelessly acting cute. Yin Chujio couldn't be bothered with the three foodies. Besides, there were still a bunch of evil spirits waiting for her to deal with. These thoughts flashed through her mind instantly. Hei Shinjio returned to the cave with her hands behind her back and said pretentiously, "See? I regain my physical form easily. As long as you are obedient, I guarantee that you will regain your physical form very soon." At this moment, even Elder June was a little more convinced of Yin Chujio's identity because it was really impossible to explain with common sense. Immediately, the evil spirits knelt down and praised her again. Hei Shinjio pretended to say a few words and sent everyone away. Then she brought D. Biming and Aoji back to the cave. This guy stood on his tiptoes and kissed D. Biming on the lips. Then he said, "Great. I thought I wouldn't be able to have sex in 1,000 years. It's such a waste to let a top-notch beauty like you not enjoy it." Aoji, he must have been blind in the past. How could such a scoundrel, lecherous and shameless person be his lover? Fortunately, he had returned to normal. D. Biming's eyes darkened. He controlled the thought of holding Hei Shinjio in his arms and punishing her. He said hoarsely, "Stop fooling around. Since you have recovered your physical form, let's leave this place quickly." At this moment, the ground began to tremble violently. Broken rocks began to fall from the ceiling of the cave, mixed with the screams of the evil spirits. Yun Chujio and the other two quickly exited the cave. They found that the pathway had been completely blocked by falling rocks. Moreover, huge rocks began to fall from the ceiling of the cave. This place was about to collapse. Those evil spirits looked at Yun Chujio in panic. "Ghost ancestor, what's going on? What should we do next?" They did not have a body. Although they would not be crushed to death, once they were outside they would be unable to absorb soul power. They would definitely die. Yun Chujio's gaze landed on the ghost ancestor statue. "Let's go to the soul gathering pearl." Chapter 45:15 saw the jade tablet of the spider lilies. Again, the evil spirits had already regarded Yun Chujio as their backbone. When they heard that, they immediately moved the statue of the ghost ancestor away and followed Yun Chujio into the passage. Aoji frowned. The ground was trembling so badly. If they went down, wouldn't the situation be even worse? However, there seemed to be no other way, so he gagged and swallowed his words. After walking for some distance, Yun Chujio found that the trembling was getting less and less intense, and there was almost no effect. A cold smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. It was indeed so. She had thought of a possibility in a split second just now. The ultimate goal of the mastermind might be to force her into the stone room with the soul gathering pearl. Otherwise, that person would not have given Princess Mayenne the red pearl. The evil spirits would not have lost their intelligence for no reason, and the life extermination array would not have been set up at the entrance of the 10,000 Ghost Cave. She had just obtained a physical body, and the 10,000 Ghost Cave had collapsed. This meant that there must be someone in the evil spirits. However, there were thousands of evil spirits in the 10,000 Ghosts Cave. Who was the spy? Yun Chujio immediately eliminated Elder June. Since he was a spy, he naturally would not reveal himself. He would not be so ostentatious. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and quickly thought of an idea. When everyone reached the stone room below, Yun Chujio didn't take out her jade token to open the cave. Instead, she said to everyone, "I remembered something very important. Since this place is underground, then it will definitely collapse. Aren't we waiting to be buried alive here? So let's go up." Everyone, are you fucking kidding me? What did you do earlier? Only now did you remember? Elder June said in a bad mood, "Ghost Ancestor, I reckon that the top has already collapsed. Even if we go up, we won't be able to get out. Why don't we go in and hide for a while and then we'll have a long-term plan?" Yun Chujio pondered for a moment and said, "What you said makes sense. However, the coldine energy inside is harmful to all of you. Let's rest here for a while." Everyone thought that it made sense. The cave inside was filled with coldine energy, and the soul power here could be considered rich. It was possible for them to stay here for the time being. Yun Chujio chewed on the meat bun while sizing up everyone without batting an eyelid. If there really was someone spying on them from behind, they would definitely be anxious to let her enter the cave. She did not believe that he would be able to keep his cool. The most direct and effective way to force her into the cave was to collapse the place as well. She only needed to keep an eye on anyone who made any strange movements. Beiming and she were connected in their minds. Although they did not speak, Beiming had already guessed her intentions. He also kept an eye on the group. 2 days passed in a row and nothing unusual happened. That night, just when the group was feeling sleepy, Beiming suddenly appeared in front of a person and grabbed his neck. Everyone's sleepiness disappeared and they looked at Beiming in confusion. Elder Jun was unhappy with Yun Chujio, so he naturally did not like Beiming. Seeing this, he snorted, "Shengzun, what do you mean by this?" Beiming did not reply. Instead, he pried open the person's palm. In his palm was a jade token engraved with the resurrection lily. Beiming and Yun Chujio were shocked. It was the divine devil hall again? Elder Jun and the others did not recognize this jade token. They asked in confusion, "Is there anything wrong with this jade token?" Chapter 45:16. You can't be the ghost ancestor, Yun Chujio sneered. Of course there's something wrong, something very wrong. He was the one who caused the cave of 10,000 ghosts to collapse, and he even planned to make this place collapse as well. If I'm not wrong, the reason why all of you lost your intelligence and became muddle-headed before was most likely because of this person. I didn't expect the Divine Devil Hall to extend their hands so far, to actually have claws and teeth in the ghost realm. Elder Jun and the others didn't know the Divine Devil Hall at all due to the loss of their memories. However, losing their intelligence and destroying the 10,000 ghost lair were related to their personal interests. They immediately exploded. All of this was done by Qiying? That's impossible. Qiying is usually very low-key. Other than cultivating, he is also cultivating. How could he do such a crazy thing? That's not right. Think about it. He seems to be the first person to regain his intelligence. His cultivation isn't high, so how could he be the first to regain his intelligence? Although I lost a lot of my memories, I still have some impression of everyone. It's just that I have no impression of Qiying. You're right. I also remember some people, but I also have no impression of him. Everyone was talking at the same time. They realized that no one had any memory of Qiying. However, no one had suspected this matter before. In addition, there were thousands of people in the 10,000 ghost lair. Naturally, no one doubted Qiying's identity. When the evil spirits thought that Qiying was the main culprit, they were furious. They wanted to tear Qiying into pieces immediately. Elder Jun was so angry that he was trembling. "Qiying, we have no enmity with you. Why on earth would you do this?" Qiying laughed coldly. "There's no need for so many WHs. If it wasn't for the fact that you guys still have some value, I would have killed all of you long ago. You're just a bunch of trash." Elder Jun and the others were furious. If they didn't still want to ask him for his statement, they would have cut him into 1,000 pieces. Yun Chujio frowned. This Qiying was clearly not afraid of death anymore. He would probably not ask anything. The Divine Devil Hall was a good method. However, even if he didn't say anything, it didn't mean that she wouldn't get anything. She snorted coldly. "Do you think that I won't know if you don't tell me? Your ultimate goal isn't me, right? It's my idol, right? If my idol enters the cave, it will cause great damage to him, right and wrong?" Qiying's pupils contracted. Yun Chujio knew that her guess was right. This was what she had just thought of. If this person's target was her, he would have thought of a way to kill her long ago. There was no need to delay for such a long time. Yun Chujio continued, TSK, what kind of earth profound chi and eye of earth profound chi are you guys from the Divine Devil Hall? It's all a trick to divert attention. Your ultimate goal is always to kill my idol, right and wrong? Qiying's pupils constricted once again, and he revealed a few traces of shock. What kind of groundless people are you guys making up? TSK, only that fool Princess Mayenne would believe your words. The red bead in her hand was also given to her by you guys, right? Also, back then the ghost ancestor was also killed by you guys, right? Yun Chujio stared into Qiying's eyes and said. Qiying laughed sinisterly. Yun Chujio, you're really smart. I didn't expect you to guess so much. No wonder you ruined many of our plans. But so what? Unless you're the real ghost ancestor, not only you and Beiming but everyone here will die. Don't tell me you really think you're the ghost ancestor? To tell you the truth, the ghost ancestor was already dead. So you can't be the ghost. Chapter 45:17 Soul Exterminating Pearl. Although Yun Chujio's heart was greatly shaken, a disdainful smile appeared on her face. Dead as a doornail? Could it be that I popped out from the crack of a rock? Qiying laughed maniacally again. Yun Chujio, I know that you have always been crafty and good at acting, but you can't fool me. You are not the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor at all. Because our people saw with their own eyes that the ghost ancestor had already turned into nothingness. If the ghost ancestor was not really dead, why do you think the lord of that time, Xingzun, would have? Qiying realized that he had said too much at this point and snorted coldly. In short, you cannot be the ghost ancestor at all, and all of you will become nutrients for the 5 soul-exterminating pearls. You are all dead. Soul-exterminating pearls? That is clearly a soul-gathering pearl. When did it become a soul-exterminating pearl? Elder June shouted in terror. Qi Ying's face revealed a proud expression. I had already swapped those 5 pearls. Those are clearly 5 soul-exterminating pearls. You bunch of idiots still used cabbages full of soul power to consecrate those soul-exterminating pearls, causing them to become more and more brutal, haha. A bunch of idiots? Qi Ying was even more pleased with himself. That's right, if you want to blame someone, blame that idiot ghost ancestor of yours. If it wasn't for her saying something stupid like cabbages attract wealth when she was alive, how could I have taken advantage of it? Elder June and the rest were simply unable to contain their anger. At the same time, a huge panic surged in their hearts. All of this was planned by someone. Could it be that they really couldn't live? Qi Ying, aren't you very pleased with yourself? Yun Chujio asked with a faint smile on the corner of her mouth. Qi Ying frowned. According to common sense, shouldn't Yun Chujio have a face full of despair at this moment? How could she still smile? Of course I'm very proud. All of this was planned by our master. D. Biming is afraid of the blue glaze, so he would naturally think of ways to come to the ghost realm to find the red glaze. Originally, we were worried that we wouldn't be able to lure him here. Who would have thought that your appearance would give us a very good reason? In the end it was you who harmed your lover, ha. Yun Chujio nodded. Your dogshit master is indeed very cunning. Every step of ours is within his plan. It really makes people curious about his identity. Qi Ying snorted coldly. A lowly trash like you doesn't have the right to know the identity of our master. If it wasn't for the fact that we wanted to deal with D. Biming, we would have killed you long ago and let you roam around the various continents. Yun Chujio nodded again. She was a little puzzled. Although she was quite smart and powerful, the Divine Devil Hall didn't seem to have used their full strength to hunt her down. It turned out that they had left her to pin down the gigolo. Yun Chujio said with a faint smile, I am indeed a trash, but am afraid that your plot will not succeed. If it's according to what you said, those soul-gathering pearls have already been replaced by the soul-exterminating pearls, and am not the ghost ancestor, then why didn't you kill me before? Qi Ying frowned. Chimp. Those soul-exterminating pearls were just toying with you. D. Biming is the one they really wanted to devour. Keeping you alive must have been to lure D. Biming into the trap. Although Qi Ying said so, he felt a little uneasy. That's right, those soul-exterminating pearls were reasonably brutal. Why didn't they kill Yun Chujio before? Chapter 45:18 Inchi Yun Chujio saw the hesitation in Qi Ying's eyes and thought that there should be some variables in this. Perhaps they still had a chance to survive. Qi Ying, all right. Even if we all die today, you won't be able to survive. Why are you so happy? Are you stupid? Yun Chujio pouted and said. Qi Ying snorted coldly. If we can help our master, what's there to fear in death? You guys go ahead. Yun Chujio became more and more curious about that so-called master. His ability to train his subordinates was really amazing. Yun Chujio sighed. Qi Ying, you're quite a character. Looks like we're going to die together. Since we're so fated, can you tell me where my Yuan Chong and Spirit Soul have been taken? Qi Ying said disdainfully, how would I know where they've gone? Even you're just a chess piece for us, and we're disdainful to deal with those two beasts. Yun Chujio didn't doubt Qi Ying's words. At this time he didn't need to lie. Then the question was, where did Buttface and Big Brick go? How did they disappear without a trace? Qi Ying saw that Yun Chujio didn't say anything for a long time and shouted, don't tell me you are still hoping that you can stay here for a long time? To tell you the truth, when I entered the cave I had already done something. Even if I don't do anything, in 5 days the soul-exterminating pearl will break out of the cave. You can only blame me for being too anxious earlier. Otherwise you wouldn't have known who killed you until you died. Qi Ying's words immediately caused the evil spirits to panic. Someone even said, Qi Ying, if we help you kill these 3 people, will you let us live? Qi Ying laughed out loud. If that dead ghost ancestor knew that you guys had become so selfish, I wonder if he would be so angry that he would come back to life. However, you guys don't have to waste your energy. You guys can't kill this D. Biming. If you could kill him so easily, our master wouldn't have to go through so much trouble and waste so much energy. Yun Chujia's face suddenly turned gloomy. She had recorded the people who wanted to kill them in Xiao Hei's account book. If they were to escape, none of them would be able to live. Prince Charming, cripple Qi Ying's cultivation first to prevent any unnecessary complications, Yun Chujio said fiercely. Di Biming's eyes darkened when he heard that. He crippled Qi Ying's cultivation with one palm strike, and Qi Ying immediately collapsed to the ground like a pile of mud. At this moment, the stone wall actually split apart. 5 soul-exterminating pearls emitted a demonic red light as they flew out. They flew towards Di Biming's location. Qi Ying laughed out loud. So these soul-exterminating pearls can't wait any longer. Di Biming, you're dead. Haha, no one can survive. Let's all die together. The evil spirits retreated one after another, trying their best to stay away from the soul-exterminating pearls. Even so, there were still a portion of people who did not have the time to retreat and turned into ashes. The moment these soul-exterminating pearls approached, the cold poison in Di Biming's body began to take effect. In the blink of an eye, his body had turned into a thin layer of ice. A thought flashed through Yun Chujia's mind. No wonder she felt that the coldine energy in the cave was somewhat familiar. It was actually the same as the coldine energy in the gigolo's body. Chapter 45:19 You are really the ghost ancestor. Countless purple lightning bolts appeared in Yun Chujia's eyes instantly. Her body was filled with killing intent. Anyone who dared to touch her was courting death. She rushed to Di Biming and looked at the 5 soul-exterminating pearls coldly. The 5 soul-exterminating pearls were trembling under her gaze and the red light emitted from them became weaker. Qi Ying, who was lying on the ground, said in disbelief, What's going on? What are you afraid of her for? As long as you absorb that man's power, you can leave this damn place. The 5 soul-exterminating pearls once again shone with a bright red light, and they swooped down towards Yun Chujio. Although Di Biming was already suffering from the effects of the cold poison, he still used all his strength to push Yun Chujio to the side and said with difficulty, Little Jio, change your form and leave this place. Don't bother about me, I won't die. Yun Chujio was so angry that she turned around and gave Di Biming a slap on the face. She said fiercely, Shut up. It was unknown whether it was because the cold poison had taken effect or because she was stunned by the slap. In short, she was stunned on the spot. Yun Chujio ignored him and suddenly jumped up. She actually rushed towards one of the soul-exterminating beads. Qi Ying mocked, Do you think you can beat the soul-exterminating bead? Or are you planning to sacrifice yourself to feed the soul-exterminating bead? How naive. Qi Ying's words came to an abrupt end because he saw Yun Chujio actually swallow the soul-exterminating pearl. According to common sense, as long as she got close to the soul-exterminating pearl, she should have turned into ashes. Why did she swallow the soul-exterminating pearl? The purple lightning in Yun Chujia's eyes crackled, and the remaining 4 soul-exterminating pearls were so frightened that they kept retreating. Yun Chujio did not give them any chance to dodge, and she used the air-controlling technique to grab another 2 with her left and right hands. She stuffed the remaining 2 soul-exterminating pearls into her mouth. The remaining 2 soul-exterminating pearls fled into the cave in fear. Yun Chujio followed closely behind. A moment later, the remaining 2 soul-exterminating pearls were also swallowed by He Xinjiu. The fellow burped and then fell back to the ground. Guai Chao swallowed all the coldine qi in the 5 soul-exterminating beads, while the black bead swallowed the remaining 5 beads happily. Only the grand illusionary mirror shook disdainfully. 2 foodies. Apart from that, there were still several red mists remaining. He Xinjiu had already fainted. There was no other way, this was the sequela after every blackening. However, perhaps it was because they were in the ghost realm now. He Xinjiu woke up very quickly, but she was still a little weak. The moment He Xinjiu woke up, the red mist in her dantian slipped out of her dantian and floated out from between Yun Chujia's brows. Yun Chujio touched her forehead and looked at the smug red mist. She knew that it was the same thing as the drifters. How could there be such red mist in the soul-exterminating pearl? Qi Ying looked at the red mist and said in horror, It's impossible. How can you really be the ghost ancestor? Aren't you already dead? Qi Ying's face was ashen. No wonder the soul-exterminating pearl didn't attack you. The soul-exterminating winds even protected you. It turns out that you really are the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor. How is this possible? However, even if you are the reincarnation of the ghost ancestor, you can only use these drifters to control the soul-exterminating pearls. How can you be fine even if you swallow them? Chapter 45:20 He was your mortal enemy in your previous life, Yin Chujio said weakly. Can't you be a little more creative? I call these red mist drifters and you're also called drifters? Ching. You wanted to call them something else, but no one knew the origin of these red mists. Back then, the ghost ancestor had called them drifters, so he could only call them drifters. Yun Chujio ignored Qiying and looked at Di Biming worriedly. Di Biming was now completely covered in ice. It was obvious that the cold poison in his body had completely flared up. Yun Chujio said to Aog, give me something to eat and break the ice on my Prince Charming's body. Otherwise he will really become an ice sculpture. Aog was dumbfounded by these changes. He subconsciously followed Yun Chujio's instructions. First, he handed her a few meat buns, then he took out his long sword and struck the hard ice on Di Biming's body. Old June and the others did not dare to say anything throughout the whole process. They felt that their brains were not enough. Qiying previously said that this little girl was not the ghost ancestor, and now he said that she was the ghost ancestor. What was going on? Yun Chujio ate a few buns and had the drifters get a cabbage to eat. Only then did she feel that she had regained some of her strength. Yun Chujio stood up and gave Qiying a fierce kick. Didn't you say that I could not be more dead? Then where did I jump out from? Qiying thought to himself, how the hell would he know where this fellow in front of him had jumped out from? Didn't they say that the ghost ancestor was dead? And I saw it with my own eyes. Why did he come out again? Only then did he remember something unusual. When the spy reported to him, he had mentioned that Yun Chujio's spirit was a big red brick. Could it be that it was made of drifters? I can only blame myself for being certain that the ghost ancestor was dead, so I didn't think of it in this way. Otherwise I wouldn't be so passive. I was really one step behind. Come, tell me, how did I die back then? Yun Chujio poked Qiying's head with the treasured sword and said, Haha, isn't that ironic? Do you feel like the sky is about to collapse right now? You actually fell in love with your enemy and even risked your life to save him. Do you think you're the stupidest person in the world? Yun Chujio was stunned. You said that my Prince Charming was my enemy in my previous life? Qiying nodded. That's right, and it's the kind of enemy that won't rest until one of us dies. Why else would he be the lord of the Yen clan and you the ghost ancestor of the ghost realm? A Xingzun? That's because you brought those remnant souls into the ghost realm to fight against him. Di Biming, who was covered in solid ice, also heard Qiying's words and panic rose in his heart. Little Jiu, don't listen to his nonsense. Yun Chujio glared at him fiercely. Shut up. Can't I shut your mouth? A certain someone? Qiying's eyes revealed a flash of joy. Ghost ancestor, now that you know the truth, why don't you join hands with me to kill Di Biming? As long as I can restrain him, I promise you that I will put in a good word for you in front of the Lord. Not only this ghost realm, even the Dark Continent is yours. Yun Chujio nodded. What you said makes sense. There are plenty of people with 2 legs. I don't have to hang myself on a crooked tree. Chapter 45:21 was an unusual thought. Qiying's eyes lit up with joy when he heard that. The ghost ancestor is indeed a formidable figure. His decisiveness in killing is not something an ordinary person can compare to. Since we have come to an agreement, let's join hands to kill Di Biming. As long as we kill him, everything will be over. I can live and you can be your ghost ancestor again. Although you ate the 5 soul exterminating pearls, I still have 1 more soul exterminating pearl. You just need to lock him in the cave. In time he will definitely die. Qiying said with some excitement. Really? Where is the soul exterminating pearl? I will put it in the cave immediately. I can finally take revenge. Let me tell you, I have long disliked this gigolo. The cold poison is acting up every now and then, causing me to not have sex with him until now. I have had enough. Yun Chujio pouted and said. Qiying thought that this brat was really shameless. She actually said such words in public. However, this also meant that she really despised Di Biming, so he said, it's inside the jade token that you searched earlier. All you need to do is break the jade token. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. Damn it, it was a good thing that she got his words out. Otherwise, if she kept this jade token with her all the time, she might have harmed the gigolo. Yun Chujio took out the jade token with the Higan flower pattern from her sleeve pocket. After using the sword to break it, a soul-destroying pearl indeed floated out. Yun Chujio swallowed the soul-extinguishing pearl without saying a word. Qiying shouted anxiously, What are you doing? Yun Chujio spread out her hands. I ate it. Do you still want to keep such a disaster? Do you think I really believe your nonsense? TSK, don't say that what you said isn't true. Even if it is true, it is still a past life. I don't care. If the pretty boy was really my enemy in his past life, then he can be my lover in this life to atone for his sins. Isn't that just right? Ching. Ching couldn't believe his ears. This Yun Chujia's brain wasn't right? If a normal person had listened to his words, even if they didn't turn against Di Biming, wouldn't there still be enmity between them? How could there be nothing? Di Biming's originally worried heart finally relaxed. Although he did not have any memories of this entanglement, he was afraid. He was really afraid that he would lose little Jiu. Qing was stunned for a long while before he sneered, Yun Chuzhou, I admit defeat. If it were in the past, I would not have fallen for your trick. But now that I am forced into a desperate situation, that is why I trusted you so easily. However, don't be too smug. The reason why you can say that you're calm now is because your memories haven't recovered. Once you recover the memories of your previous life, I don't believe that you can still fall in love with your enemy. Yun Chuzhou shrugged her shoulders. What's the use of believing it or not? Do I need you to believe me? You even fucking said that I couldn't be any more dead, that I can't be alive and well? Also, taking a step back, everything you said is true. The gigolo is really my enemy. In my previous life he has already repaid me. In this life I am willing to love him, dote on him and protect him. Are you jealous? Qing was so angry that he almost vomited blood. How did this Yun Chujia's head grow? How could she think so differently from the average person? Chapter 45-22 Little Shadow Qing took a long time to recover before he gritted his teeth and said, Yun Chuzhou, you're just being stubborn. I don't believe that once you regain the memories of your previous life, you can still be as confident as you are now. Yun Chuzhou stared at Qing for a few times when she heard that. It made Qing's hair stand on end. Why are you looking at me? Yun Chuzhou said with a smile, if it weren't for the fact that we don't know each other, I would have thought that you had chased me in your previous life. This is between me and the gigolo. Why are you so anxious? Could it be that you fell in love with me at first sight? Qing was so angry that he was twitching. He had seen shameless people before, but this was the first time he had seen such a shameless person. Yun Chuzhou, good, very good. I hope you won't forget what you said today when you recover your memory. I have nothing more to say. The winner takes all. Kill me. Qing snorted coldly. He felt that if he continued talking he would be so angry that he would die. Yun Chuzhou circled Qing a few times, which made Qing dumbfounded. He said angrily, if you want to fucking kill me then hurry up. Why did you turn? Brother Qing, I think you are a good person. There are very few people like you who would rather die than submit. How about you follow me in the future? Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Qing finally spat out a mouthful of blood. Brother Qing? Follow her? This was a fucking lunatic. Brother Qing, calm down. Even if you are very surprised and excited, don't spit out blood. I have always been open-minded, so I will forget about the past and accept you. Yun Chuzhou patted Qing's shoulder and said, Qing, I want to die quickly. Yun Chuzhou, just give up this idea. I will not betray my master, just do it. Qing said angrily. TSK, why are you so stubborn? How did you persuade me to surrender before? That master is just a useless snack, or else he wouldn't have been able to do anything to my Prince Charming all these years. Besides, he was so wicked. He was eating, drinking and having fun by himself. How could you be so willing to be a ghost in this cave of 10,000 ghosts? Yun Chuzhou smiled like a wolf with a big tail. Qing didn't say anything. He closed his eyes and looked like he was ready to die. Brother Qing, don't you want to live until the day my memory is restored? Don't you want to see if I will part ways with the gigolo after my memory is restored? Qing was annoyed by her boisterous words and snorted coldly, humph. Even if I really want to see you two become enemies, I will not betray my master. Yun Chuzhou spread her hands. I didn't ask you to betray your master. I just asked you to follow me. Is this a contradiction? Qing, do you think he is a 3-year-old child? However, he had a thought. If he pretended to submit and followed Yun Chuzhou, he might be able to act as a spy for his master. Therefore he showed a conflicted expression. After a long while he said, Alright, even ants can survive. I will follow you for now. But we have agreed that I will not tell you anything about the Divine Devil Hall. You can forget about getting any information about the Divine Devil Hall from me. The little shadow was speechless. How did he change from little brother Qing to little shadow in the blink of an eye? Chapter 45-23 She was lustful for beauty. Yun Chuzhou turned around and said to Chuamo, who had a dumbfounded look on her face, Sister Mo, keep an eye on him. If he doesn't behave, kill him. Chu Mo nodded in a daze. To be honest, Qiying had once spoken up for her. She did not expect him to be such a vicious person. Yun Chujio was full of schemes. She was certain that Qiying wanted to be a spy by her side, so he would be very well behaved for the time being. He might even perform a little, and she was not worried that he would cause any trouble at all. Moreover, his cultivation base had been crippled. Even if he wanted to, he would not be able to do anything. Yun Chujio glanced at the evil spirits again. Elder June immediately took the lead and knelt on the ground, saying things like the ghost ancestor should not be blamed. Yun Chujio sneered, "Your lives were saved by me, but some people just wanted to repay kindness with enmity. Has your conscience been eaten by dogs?" Elder June, I know you have your own thoughts, but since you have worked hard for so many years, I won't pursue it. You bring people and kill those who wanted to kill me just now. Elder June did not dare to have any objection. He immediately brought people and killed those who said they wanted to kill Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio could not be bothered with them anymore. Instead, she looked at Di Biming. Aog was going to break the hard ice on Di Biming's body every once in a while. He felt that his brain was no longer sufficient. The main reason was that the amount of information was too much. He still could not figure it out in a short while. Was little Jiu really the ghost ancestor? In his previous life he was still a mortal enemy of the Lord and Xingzun? That Qiying was someone from the Divine Devil Hall? All of this was planned by the Divine Devil Hall? That was true. He was able to come to the ghost realm because of the instigation of the people from the Divine Devil Hall. Putting everything else aside, the Yen clan would never betray the Lord. They would definitely follow the Lord even if the Lord was once his love rival, Xingzun. What made him most incredulous was that little Jiu had even taken in that Qiying. Didn't she know that it was a poisonous snake? Wasn't she afraid of breeding a tiger? Aog gagged and swallowed his words. It wouldn't be too late to say it when there was an opportunity. Yun Chujio ignored Aog and looked at Di Biming. Di Biming's face was as pale as paper, and there was a small and perfect palm print on the left side of his face. Hei Xinjiu touched her nose guiltily. The reason why she had slapped Di Biming was firstly because she was anxious, and secondly because she wanted to shock Di Biming. If she hadn't slapped him, he probably wouldn't have been stunned. Even though that was the case, if she did not slap him in the face, when the gigolo recovered, he would probably not be kind to her. Hei Xinjiu pulled Aog aside and kissed Di Biming's lips directly. The evil spirits. Aog. Qiying. He finally understood why Yun Chujio ignored the grudges from his previous life. She must be fucking lusting after Di Biming's beauty. He did not expect the grand ghost ancestor to turn into a pervert after being reincarnated. Hei Xinjiu naturally did not take advantage of him. She wanted the Guaichao to suck out the thing that created the cold poison in Di Biming's body. Although she knew that the hope was not high, what if it worked? Needless to say, it was most likely because she had not used this move for a long time. The moment their lips touched, something in Di Biming's body jumped into Yun Chujio's dantian and was immediately eaten by the Guaichao. The speed of the Guaichao was very fast. Yun Chujio still could not see what it was eating. Chapter 45-24 was about Xingzun. Di Biming's condition instantly improved a lot. Although he was still very weak, his body was no longer frozen. Qiying's eyes were wide open. What was going on? Why did this pervert kiss Di Biming, and the cold poison in Di Biming was alleviated a lot? No wonder their Divine Devil Hall could not kill Di Biming. So, as long as Di Biming was kissed by Yun Chujio, he could alleviate the cold poison? It turned out that Di Biming was also a pervert. In his original consciousness, although the Lord and the ghost ancestor were enemies, they were also lofty and mighty figures. However, what the hell were the two perverts in front of him? Hei Xinjiu saw that Di Biming's condition had improved a lot and said pitifully, "Prince Charming, I didn't hit you on purpose just now. You also know that my mind is not clear after I turn black. You won't lower yourself to my level, right?" Di Biming and Yun Chujio had been staying for a long time, so he was used to hearing her words like turn black from time to time. He knew that Yun Chujio had a reason for what happened just now. Although he felt a little frustrated after being slapped, he still said, "It won't happen again." Hei Xinjiu's worried heart finally settled down. She kissed a certain god and said with a smile, "Prince Charming, I knew you were the most magnanimous and open-minded." Those evil spirits simply could not bear to look at him. Was this their ghost ancestor? Although they had lost their memories, the ghost ancestor could probably not have been such a pervert, right? Elder June hesitated for a long while before he said dryly, "Ghost ancestor, that soul-exterminating pearl was swallowed by you. How are we going to cultivate our soul power in the future? Yun Chujio was stunned. It was true. If these people did not have a source of soul power, it would not take long for them to dissipate. If she had known earlier, she would have kept the last soul-exterminating pearl. However, she quickly shifted her gaze to Qiying. Little Shadow, you said earlier that you used the soul-exterminating pearl to swap the soul-gathering pearl. That means that the soul-gathering pearl is on you. Take it out. Qiying. Why was this guy a pervert one moment and a monkey spirit the next? He knew that there was no point in denying it. He could only bitterly walk to a corner and pry off a rock. He took out a long jade box. There were 5 soul-gathering pearls inside. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and refined all 5 soul-gathering pearls. She then kept 3 of them and placed the remaining 2 in the stone cave for these evil spirits to cultivate. Those evil spirits naturally did not dare to object. Even if the ghost ancestor did not leave a single soul-gathering pearl for them, they would not dare to say anything. Yun Chujio looked at Qiying again. Little Shadow, where do you think my Yuan Chong and Spirit Soul went? If you can provide any valuable clues, I will reward you handsomely. Qiying scoffed at the reward that Yun Chujio mentioned in his heart. However, he had just submitted to her so he could perform appropriately. Therefore, he asked Yun Chujio some details and racked his brain to analyze all kinds of possibilities. Ghost Ancestor, to be honest, the bead I gave Princess Mayenne is the soul-devouring spirit-locking bead. It is the most effective for people like you who can change at will. Its function is to weaken your soul to the point that you can't even maintain your physical body. Since you don't have a physical body, the spirit souls and primary pets that you summon will turn into ashes. They should be dead by now. Chapter 45-25, Where was he trapped? Bang. Yun Chujio kicked Qiying to the side. I asked you to help me find their whereabouts. You fucking said that they were dead. Are you courting death? Qiying had lost his cultivation. He almost fainted from He Xinjia's kick. He was completely stunned by the kick. According to his thoughts, since Yun Chujio had finally persuaded him to surrender, shouldn't she be polite to him? Why was she beating and scolding him now? Wasn't she afraid that he would go back on his word? Qiying really wanted to resist, but when he thought of his hidden purpose, he gritted his teeth and endured it. A faint light flashed in Yun Chujio's eyes. Little girl, you're already like this, yet you still don't resist. It's obvious that you have other motives. Since that's the case, you'll suffer. Qiying suppressed the anger in his heart and said, Ghost Ancestor, I'm not cursing them to die. I'm just analyzing the possibilities. Since you're sure that they're still alive, something must have happened. As long as we find this anomaly, we can follow the clues and find their whereabouts. The evil spirits who were called trash. They didn't want to lose face, did they? Qiying felt a strange sense of self-satisfaction. When he realized it, he immediately suppressed that little bit of self-satisfaction. They had become prisoners, what was there to be proud of? At this time Yun Chujio asked, then tell me what clues you found from this anomaly? Qiying said with some uncertainty, Ghost Ancestor, your spirit soul should be formed by the drifters, right? Yun Chujio did not hide it and nodded. Qiying saw her nod and continued, if that's the case, the problem should be those drifters. They must have used some method to escape. Otherwise, it and your Yuan Chong would not be able to keep their lives. Yun Chujio felt that Qiying's analysis was reasonable. However, where did the brick take it and Buttface? Moreover, it was obvious that they were trapped. Otherwise, Buttface would not have asked for help from her. Di Biming looked thoughtfully at the red mist floating around Yun Chujio. Little Jio, if the problem is with the brick, perhaps these drifters know where they are trapped. Yun Chujio felt that what he said made sense. She immediately asked the drifters, my spirit soul is formed by the same drifters as you. Do you know where my spirit soul and Yuan Chong went? The drifters seemed to understand Yun Chujio's words. They paused in the air for a moment and then rushed toward He Xinjia's glabella. He Xinjio pulled them aside impatiently. I'm asking for their whereabouts, not to play with you. Besides, you're not my spirit soul now. Why are you drilling into my glabella? Speaking up to this point, Yun Chujio's heart stirred. After she summoned the spirit soul, the drifters appeared in front of her in the form of a big brick. If she summoned the spirit soul again, would she summon the big brick again? While she was at it, would she get Buttface out as well? After she explained her thoughts, Qiying said, Ghost Ancestor, this place is quite special. There's no way to summon the spirit souls. If you want to try, you have to go out first. Yun Chujio did not plan to stay here forever. She immediately instructed the evil spirits to start digging. After a few days, the evil spirits finally dug a tunnel. Chapter 45-26 Summon the spirit again. You guys cultivate here well and try to cultivate a physical body as soon as possible. I'll visit you again when I have time. Also, don't fight over the soul gathering pearl. If I find anyone who breaks the rules, I'll kill them without mercy. Yun Chujio said sternly. The evil spirits nodded repeatedly. Although they couldn't wait for this jinx to leave, they still pretended to say something reluctant. Yun Chujio knew what they were thinking and did not expose them. After all, no matter how great the favor was, after so many years of training, it had faded a lot. Chuamo, little shadow, you guys follow me and leave this place. Chuamo was stunned and looked at Yun Chujio in shock. Little Jio, no, ghost ancestor, you mean you want me to follow you in the future? Yun Chujio nodded. Let's go. We'll talk when we get out. Chuamo could not describe how excited she was. She was not stupid. Since Yun Chujio wanted to bring her out, it was likely that she wanted to give her a soul-gathering pearl to condense into a physical form. Her dream of so many years was actually about to come true? This was simply like a dream. Old June and the others also understood this point. They were simply envious and jealous of Chuamo, but they had no choice. They could only blame themselves for not having a good relationship with Yun Chujio back then. Qi Ying's mood was also somewhat complicated. Could it be that Yun Chujio really believed that he had submitted? She was actually willing to let him use the soul-gathering pearl? Wasn't that a little silly? How could he know that Hei Shinjo was actually thinking in her heart that the bigger the bait, the bigger the fish? Only when there was sacrifice would there be gain. When the group of 5 arrived outside, they discovered that the 10,000 ghost lair had already become a pile of rubble. Even the life extermination array no longer existed. It had been a long time since Qiying had been outside. For a moment, a myriad of emotions mixed together, and his heart felt a little sour. Yun Chujio did not waste any words and handed Qiying and Chuamo each a soul-gathering pearl. She did not know the usage of the soul-gathering pearl before, and this was what Qiying had told her. It had to be said that although Qiying's heart was in Xiao Ying's heart, he knew many things that Yun Chujio did not know. Qiying and Chuamo absorbed the soul power in the soul-gathering pearl according to Qiying's method, and very quickly condensed it into a solid form. Ghost ancestor, although these 2 soul-gathering pearls have no soul power now, they will slowly recover in time. Qiying handed the 2 dim soul-gathering pearls to Yun Chujio. Littling, you are really honest. Moreover, you are wholeheartedly thinking for this seat. This seat will not mistreat you in the future. Yun Chujio said with a smile. The 5 of them found a quiet place and Yun Chujio began to summon the spirit according to the summoning ritual. After kowtowing 3 times, Hei Shinjo bit her index finger in pain. With my body, I worship the ghost ancestor. With my blood, I summon the spirit. Rise. After saying that, she felt a little awkward. Fuck, wasn't she worshipping herself? Everyone stared at Yun Chujio, wondering if she could summon the big brick. After waiting for a long time, nothing was summoned. They couldn't help but feel discouraged. At this moment, Aog said in surprise, Little Jio, look at those drifters. Yun Chujio looked in the direction Aog was pointing at and saw that the drifters had formed 2 big words. Save me. Yun Chujio's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that after she held the summoning ceremony, these drifters had connected with the big brick? She was a little excited and asked the drifters, where are the big brick and butt face? Chapter 45-27 had a lot of spirit souls. After Yun Chujio finished asking, she stared at the drifters with hope. The drifters formed 3 big words. No idea. Yun Chujio. Where was her big kitchen knife? She wanted to cut someone. Qiying couldn't help but burst into laughter. He had poked a hornet's nest this time. Hei Shinjo was already very depressed. She glared at him fiercely and said, What are you laughing at? Are you gloating? Did you feed my soul-gathering pearl to the dogs? Qiying. He finally knew that Yun Chujio had subdued him to vent her anger. He was a little regretful now. Could he go back on his words? After scolding Qiying, Yun Chujio said to the drifters, Give me some valuable clues or else I'll die there. The drifters were a little flustered and after a moment they formed 4 words. Many spirit souls. Yun Chujio frowned. Many spirit souls? What did that mean? Qiying quickly said in order to atone for his sins, Ghost ancestor, I guess these drifters mean that there are many spirit souls in the place where they are. After Qiying finished speaking, the drifters formed a big word. Yes. It seems that I have guessed correctly. There are indeed many spirit souls in the place where they are located. Then, there is a high chance that they are the headquarters of those spirit souls. However, after so many years, only the ghost ancestor knew where those spirit souls came from. Ghost ancestor, think carefully. Where exactly are those spirit souls? Qi Ying's eyes flashed. Regarding this secret, their divine devil hall had searched for a long time but had not found any clues. This time he might be able to make a contribution. Yun Chuzhou did not need to look to know what Qi Ying was thinking. However, she had no memory of the ghost ancestor, let alone where the spirit souls were hidden. What should she do? She could not ignore Big Brick and Buttface's lives. Although Di Biming and the others were anxious for her, they could not help much. They knew very little about the spirit souls. The spirit soul's intelligence was not very high. Moreover, once the spirit soul was summoned, the past would be forgotten. Hence, it was useless to look for clues from the spirit soul. Qi Ying's mouth twitched in his heart. Wasn't it just the spirit soul and Yuan Chong? So what if they died? It was useless to wait until they left the ghost realm. Was there a need to be so anxious? However, he did not dare to say it out loud. He did not want to be scolded. At this moment, the black bead in Yun Chuzhiu's dantian trembled. Yun Chuzhiu was delighted. She used her divine sense to ask, "Glass bead, do you know where the spirit souls are?" The black bead trembled again. Although it could not speak, Yun Chuzhiu could feel that the black bead was rather smug and carried a hint of arrogance. It was obvious that it wanted Yun Chuzhiu to beg it. Yun Chuzhiu comforted herself. Endure it. It was not the first time that she had lost face as her master. That was true. The fellow said obsequiously, "Little bead, you are the most luxurious bead in the world. As long as you tell me the whereabouts of Buttface and Big Brick, I promise to get all the beads from the Nameless Sword sect for you when I return to Atlas Continent." Almost as soon as Hei Xinjiu finished her sentence, a blinding white light appeared in front of her eyes, and then she did not know anything else. When Yun Chuzhiu regained her consciousness, she heard a sarcastic voice, "Everyone take a look at what she summoned." Chapter 45-28. She became a puppet. Yun Chuzhiu opened her eyes in confusion and was instantly stunned. How did she turn into a phantom again? Also, what the hell were those things down there? It was a woman who was talking, but why was there a rabbit's tail behind her? There were also people surrounding her. Some of them had antlers, some had a cow's nose, and one of them even had 4 legs. Yun Chuzhiu felt that she was probably dreaming. She closed her eyes and muttered, "This is all a dream, this is all a dream. Even if you summoned a dagger, it would still be better than this useless human. Besides, the puppet you summoned is too ugly." Yun Chuzhiu almost burst out laughing. Yangchun Baishua? Her parents must have picked this person up, right? How did she come up with such a weird name? Wait a minute, she said that she summoned a useless puppet? She even said that the puppet was too ugly. Could they be talking about her? She, the grand ghost ancestor, had become a puppet? What kind of joke was this? She wanted to refute that she was not some bullshit puppet. She was the ghost ancestor. However, she realized that she could not speak. What the fuck? Just as Yun Chuzhiu's heart was about to collapse, she heard a timid voice say, "Tu Meyer, I think she's just a little dark and pretty." Yun Chuzhiu lowered her head and looked at the person who spoke. It was that Yangchun Baishua. She was very pretty, but the 2 goat horns on her head were a little out of place. Tu Meyer, the woman with the rabbit tail behind her, curled her lips. "Yangchun Baishua, it doesn't matter if she's pretty or not. The most important thing is that she's trash. You're trash to begin with, and now you've summoned a trash puppet. When the battle starts, you'll be dragging us down again." Yangchun Baishua lowered her head and mumbled, "If I can't defeat them, I'll just kill myself. I won't be a burden to you." Tu Meyer snorted coldly. "That's great. Otherwise, we won't have the time to care about your life and death. Hurry up and take your useless puppet and get lost." Yangchun Baishue was probably too depressed, so she did not put Hei Xinjiu away. Hei Xinjiu was also magnanimous. After a moment of confusion, she settled down. She guessed that it was Hei Zhuzi who brought her here. Could it be that Buttface and Big Brick had become the puppets of these demons? No matter what, she would first gather some information before making the next step. Yun Chuzhiu floated behind Yangchun Baishua. She looked around and found that this seemed to be a city, and the place where they were just now should be a small square. Yangchun Baishue walked along the street to the front of a mansion. There were 3 big words written on the plaque, "General's Mansion." Yun Chuzhiu curled her lips. These demons made them look like humans. General's Mansion. Putting everything else aside, this little doormat, Yangchun Baishue, did not look like a lady from General's mansion no matter how she looked at it. Yun Chujio originally thought that there must be many servants in the General's mansion. She did not expect that it was empty. It was only Yangchun Baishua. Yangchun Baishua entered a room with many plaques. Yun Chujio saw some names such as Yangguang Avenue and Yangchun Baishua. She instantly felt that Yangchun Bakes' name was pretty good. Chapter 45-29 was actually the monster race. Yangchun Baishua knelt on the futon, tears streaming down her face. Father, mother, I've let you all down. I've let down the ancestors of the sheep race. When you were alive, no one dared to bully the sheep race in the eastern continent. But now, because of my daughter's incompetence, the sheep race has fallen to the point of being slaves to other monsters. Yin Chujio was shocked. Demi-humans? No wonder these people all had strange appearances. They were actually demi-humans. Yun Chujio had a guess in her heart. Could it be that the spirit soul summoned by the ghost clan was actually a demi-human? How was this possible? Moreover, she had only heard of the human clan, the yen clan, the demon clan, and the ghost clan. She had never heard of the demi-humans. Since they were such a large race, why was there no record of them? However, it was normal when she thought about it. Her knowledge was limited. She had never heard of the ghost race before, and she did not expect that she was the ghost ancestor. At this moment, she heard Yangchun Baishua crying again. My daughter thought that she would summon a powerful puppet so that she could revive the Yangchun race. I didn't expect that she would summon the weakest human. My daughter is really useless. Hei Xinjiu was immediately unhappy. How could she be weak? She was the grand ghost ancestor. It was a tragedy. She had only enjoyed the treatment of the ghost ancestor for a few days, and she had already become a puppet of the demon clan. Was there anything more tragic than her? Her poor pretty boy, please don't be summoned by a demoness. Otherwise she would smash the black bead into pieces. Yun Chujio thought of the black bead and hurriedly looked inside her dantian. Seeing that the three old men Guai Chao were standing there calmly, she heaved a sigh of relief. Although these three swindlers were shameless, they were still useful at critical moments. Just as Hei Xinjia's thoughts were running wild. Yangchun Baishua raised her voice and said, Father, mother, don't worry. Although I'm useless, I won't disgrace my parents and the Yang clan on the battlefield. Even if I die on the battlefield, I won't be a deserter. Yun Chujio thought to herself, oh, I thought I was just a pitiful victim. I didn't expect you to have some backbone. After Yangchun Baishua finished speaking, she turned around and left the ancestral hall. Only then did she remember that she hadn't kept the puppet. She muttered to herself, it's really strange. Logically speaking, my demonic power is so low that I can't support the puppet for such a long time. Why hasn't she dissipated yet? Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. It was bad enough that she, the grand ghost ancestor, had become a puppet, but why had she dissipated? Dissipated my ass. Yangchun Baishua began to make hand seals with both hands in an attempt to recall Hei Xinjiu. However, she could not recall Hei Xinjiu even after a long time. Although Hei Xinjiu could not speak, it did not stop her from showing off. Therefore the guy bared his teeth at Yangchun Baishua and twisted his body in a smug manner, as if he was asking for a beating. Yangchun Baishua was dumbfounded. The puppets that were summoned by others were usually weapons. Although some of them were slightly intelligent, she had never heard of such a lively one. What kind of thing did she summon? Yangchun Baishua was stunned for a while before she entered the study room. Yun Chujio also followed her into the study room. She realized that the words on the books were different from those of the human race. However, the strange thing was that she actually knew all of them. Hei Xinjiu was a little confused, but thinking about it, she used to be a ghost ancestor, so it was not strange for her to know a few foreign languages. Yes, that was it. Chapter 45-30. Useless Human Puppets. Yangchun Baishua was reading books about summoning puppets. Yun Chujio also read along. Yangchun Baishua almost threw the book in her hand on the ground. Puppets actually knew how to read? Hei Xinjiu rolled her eyes. This Yangchun Baishua was indeed a sheep. She was too timid. Was she that scary? However, this fellow remembered that Tu Meyer had said that she was ugly. He glanced left and right and found a mirror made of an unknown material, which floated over happily. When this fellow looked at the mirror, he was so angry that he started twitching. Damn black bead. It must have tricked her naked. Her facial features did not change much, but her face was as black as ink. It was even darker than when she had just transmigrated. No wonder that rabbit spirit said that she was ugly. The book in Yang Chun Bakes' hand fell to the ground. A puppet that could look in the mirror? Was she really summoning a puppet? Hei Xinjiu turned her head and saw that Yang Chun Baishue was dumbstruck. She pouted and pointed at the book on the ground. Yang Chun Baishue had no choice but to open the book in confusion. The book Yang Chun Baishue flipped through introduced knowledge about puppets. The puppets summoned by the monster race could help the host fight, and as their strength increased, they could even gain a physical body. If the summoned weapon gained a physical body, then the host's combat strength would greatly increase. Most people would only summon a weapon. No matter how bad it was still an item. The most useless thing would be to summon a beast puppet or a human puppet. Not only was the combat power of these two puppets weak, but it was also very difficult to obtain a physical body. They were simply too weak. In a battle, if one side's puppet was a treasure sword and the other side's puppet was a human, the treasure sword would easily cut the human puppet, and the human puppet would lose its combat power. On the other hand, even if the human puppet broke the treasured sword puppet, the treasured sword puppet could still fight. Therefore Yang Chun Baishue summoned Hei Xinjiu, which attracted ridicule. After reading it, Yun Chuzhou thought to herself, if Buttface really became someone's puppet, he would be despised as a dog. However, in this case the condition of the big brick was probably better. Although it couldn't be compared to swords and sabers, it was at least an item-type puppet. After Yun Chuzhou finished reading the book, she instructed Yang Chun Baishue to help her flip through other books. She had no choice. She was a new puppet and did not know how to use demonic power. After flipping through a few books, Hei Xinjiu yawned and turned into a black light that disappeared between Yang Chun Bakes' brows. Yang Chun Baishue was stunned for a while before she checked her spiritual sense. She saw her puppet lying on its back and sleeping soundly. She shook her head. Although she did not know what was going on with her puppet, since she had already summoned it, she could only accept it. She smiled bitterly. It was probably because she was trash that the demon ancestor had given her a similarly trash puppet. Yang Chun Baishue left the study and went to the kitchen to cook. No matter how difficult life was, she still had to live, right? Although she used to be the eldest daughter of the general's mansion, ever since her parents passed away, she had taken care of everything by herself. Her cooking skills were not bad. She simply fried a vegetable and cooked some porridge. Just as she was about to eat, Hei Xinjiu jumped out from between her brows. Chapter 45-31 Miserable host Yang Chun Baishue was shocked. The puppet was summoned by the host. Why did her puppet appear by itself? Hei Xinjiu stared at the food on the table. Although it was too plain, it looked pretty good and smelled pretty good. This guy tried to taste it with chopsticks, but he didn't know how to control his demonic power and almost overturned the table. This fellow could only gesture at the stunned Yang Chun Baishue a few times, indicating for her to feed him. Whose puppet still needed to eat. Even if it had cultivated a physical body, it had never heard of anyone's beast or human puppet needing to eat. Moreover, there were very few human puppets that could cultivate a physical body, not to mention such a weirdo. Yun Chuzhou saw that Yang Chun Baishue did not move, and this fellow was a little unhappy. It was fine if she, the grand ghost ancestor, had deigned to become a puppet, but she actually did not give her food. Wasn't this too much? Once this fellow was unhappy, his already dark face turned even darker, like a charcoal ball. Yang Chun Baishue was frightened by the aura that Yun Chuzhou emitted. Although she did not understand why a useless puppet had such a powerful aura, she still hurriedly fed her food. She thought to herself this puppet was just fooling around. She did not have a physical body, so how could she eat? She reckoned that if she fed it, it would fall to the ground. However, a plate of vegetables was quickly emptied, and the small bowl of porridge was half empty. Yang Chun Baishue was dumbfounded. Did she really eat it? Didn't she not have a physical body? Where did all those things go? Hei Xinjiu nodded in satisfaction after eating her fill. Not to mention, this poor little girl's culinary skills were not bad. She signaled to Yang Chun Baishue that she did not need to feed her anymore and could eat by herself. The miserable Yang Chun Baishue ate a bowl of congee randomly with the vegetable soup. She thought to herself, other people's puppets did not need to eat or drink, and they had very strong combat abilities. Her puppet was not only a good-for-nothing, but she also had to serve her to read and feed her. The puppet that she summoned was not a puppet, but a fucking ancestor. Hei Xinjiu was refreshed after eating and drinking. She instructed Yang Chun Baishue to bring her to the study room to read books. Yang Chun Baishue had no choice but to go to the study room and help Hei Xinjiu flip through books. She felt extremely miserable in her heart. There was no other puppet who loved to read. Could it be that she planned to use books to fight during a battle? Yun Chuzhou asked Yangchun Baixue to help her flip through books that introduced the basic situation of the demon race in the demon territory. The more she read, the more shocked she became. The demon region was divided into two parts. The southern region was occupied by plant demons, while the northern region was occupied by beast demons. The northern region was divided into the eastern and western regions. The eastern region was occupied by vegetarian demons such as the sheep clan and the rabbit clan, while the western region was occupied by carnivorous demons such as the tiger clan and the wolf clan. In fact, the food of these demons was almost the same. The demons in the eastern region also ate meat, while the demons in the western region also ate vegetarian food. However, because their ancestors had always been enemies, they were still at odds with each other. Wars would break out from time to time. Hei Xingjiu sighed with emotion. As expected, where there were people, there would be battles, and even the demons were no exception. Hei Xingjiu was watching with great interest when someone knocked on the door of the general's residence. Yangchun Baixue frowned and asked Hei Xingjiu carefully, "Well, someone is coming. Can we come back and take a look?" Yangchun Baixue felt very sad in her heart. There was no other host as humble as her. Chapter 45-32, Imperial Edict. Hei Xingjiu looked at Yangchun Baixue as if she was a wronged wife and only had one word in her heart: awesome. She had been tormented by Guai Chao and the others, and now she was finally the master. Hei Xingjiu nodded with a smile and took the lead to float towards the door. The two of them walked out of the study room. Before they reached the entrance of the courtyard, they heard someone cursing Yangchun Baixue. "Are you deaf? Get out of there now." Hei Xingjiu frowned. It seemed that this poor girl had been bullied a lot. After Yangchun Baixue opened the door, she was pushed by someone and staggered. "You piece of trash, why did you only come to open the door?" Yangchun Baixue steadied herself and looked at the person who spoke. "Tumeyer, why are you looking for me?" "Nonsense. Do you think I would come to your Jinx's place if I had nothing to do?" "Eunuch Ma, read the Imperial Edict," Tumeyer said proudly. An old eunuch stood beside Tumeyer. Yun Chuzhou could tell from his long face that he must be from the Ma clan. Yangchun Baixue saw Eunuch Ma holding the Imperial Edict in his hand and quickly knelt on the ground. Tumeyer and the handmaidens she brought also knelt on the ground. In accordance with heaven's will, the emperor decreed that General Yang's daughter, Yangchun Baixue, originally had an engagement with the crown prince. However, Yangchun Baixue's demonic power was low and now she summoned the lowest level human puppet. It was difficult for her to be the crown prince's consort, so she changed Tumeyer to be the crown prince's consort. In consideration of the Yang family's past contributions to the country, Yangchun Baixue has been conferred the title of crown prince's good wife. This is her. Yangchun Baixue's entire body trembled. Crown prince's good wife? Below the crown prince's consort were the crown prince's side concubines, below the crown prince's side concubines were the good concubines, and then the good wife. The so-called good wife was only slightly stronger than the Tong Fong girl. This was not showing mercy, it was clearly humiliating her. Eunuch Ma's male duck voice sounded again. "Yang Liang Yuan, aren't you going to accept the Imperial Edict and thank me?" Yangchun Baixue took the Imperial Edict with both trembling hands. Eunuch Ma snorted coldly. "Yang Liang Yuan, now your general's residence is just an empty shell, and your demonic power is low. The emperor has already shown exceptional mercy by granting you the title of courtesan. Don't be ungrateful." Yangchun Baixue trembled even more violently. There was grief, anger, and a hint of unwillingness. On what basis? The marriage contract was personally bestowed by retired emperor, and now she had become the crown prince's lady instead of the crown princess consort. This was simply going too far. After Eunuch Ma finished speaking, he left. Tumeyer did not leave. She said smugly, "Yangchun Baixue, I've told you long ago that the person crown prince likes is me, but you insist on using the retired emperor's marriage to pester him. How shameless. To tell you the truth, when you enter the crown prince's residence in the future, he'll take good care of you. I guarantee that you'll never forget it." After Tumeyer finished speaking, she left with her people smugly. Yangchun Baixue fainted in grief and indignation. Hei Xingjiu, who had watched a good show. This poor little girl's mental endurance was too poor. She fainted just like that? Even if she did not ask Yangchun Baixue, she knew the general's residence was useless. This Yangchun Baixue was also a good-for-nothing. so she became the crown prince's consort. Presumably that rabbit spirit had an extraordinary family background, which was why she was made the crown princess consort. However, this emperor was really disgusting. It was fine if you didn't make a pitiful crown princess consort, but you gave her an extremely low position. It was obvious that you were bullying her. Chapter 45-33. Becoming a demon emperor herself, Hei Xingjiu was unable to control her demonic energy precisely, so she was unable to move Yangchun Baixue. Therefore, the fellow floated to the wall of the courtyard and lay down lazily. In fact, the fellow did not have a physical body and was floating while lying down. However, the fellow felt that it was very comfortable psychologically. It was not as delicious as dumplings and it was better to lie down. Yangchun Baixue was just angry for a moment, but she soon woke up. Just when she was confused, someone walked over. "Shuer, what's wrong?" A man in bright yellow clothes walked over quickly and helped Yangchun Baixue up. The man was quite handsome, but he had a pair of antlers on his head. Hei Xingjiu laughed in her heart. It seemed that the royal family of the eastern continent was a dear clan. When Yangchun Baixue saw who it was, her eyes lit up with surprise. "Your Highness the Crown Prince? Has the Emperor changed his edict?" Crown Prince Lu Zian shook his head in embarrassment. "Shuer, how can Father's edict be changed so easily? I've been trying to persuade Father for a long time, but Father insisted on giving the edict. You won't blame me, right?" Yun Chujiu rolled her eyes. This Crown Prince was simply a male version of a white lotus. Yangchun Baixue revealed a bitter smile. "Blame you? How would I dare to blame Your Highness the Crown Prince? It's just my fate. Your Highness the Crown Prince, since things have come to this, I wonder if you can agree to a request of mine?" Lu Zian nodded. "Shuer, tell me, as long as I can do it, I will do my best." "Your Highness the Crown Prince, then please come with me to meet the Emperor and cripple my Crown Prince's good wife. From now on, you and I will get married and it has nothing to do with each other," Yangchun Baixue said coldly. Lu Zian obviously didn't expect that Yangchun Baixue would say that. His face immediately turned ugly. "Shuer, you are just saying that out of anger, right? Although the position of the wife is a little low, but in the future, if there is such a day, I will definitely make you a noble consort. Why are you so calculative?" Yun Chujiu was about to burst into laughter. This bullshit Crown Prince was really shameless. What was calculative? The poor little girl was originally the Crown Princess consort who was demoted to a concubine, yet she still had to be grateful? Yangchun Baixue's expression became even colder, but she straightened her back and said, "Your Highness Crown Prince, our Yang family has an ancestral rule that the Yang family's daughter will never be a concubine, so I cannot afford this good wife Crown Prince. If you are not willing to face the saint with me, I will face the saint alone." Lu Zian sneered. "Shuer, you are just an orphan girl now and your demonic power is low. You have even summoned a useless puppet. Without my protection, not only your mansion but also your life will be lost." Hei Xingjiu was immediately infuriated. Damn it. Both of them were calling her a useless woman. How was she a useless ghost ancestor? After she mastered her demonic energy, she would kill all these pieces of trash. She would become the demon emperor herself. Upon hearing Lu Zian's words, Yangchun Baixue burst into laughter. However, her laughter was full of bitterness. "Your Highness, when my parents were alive, you were very attentive to me. Otherwise, His Majesty wouldn't have chosen you as the crown prince among all the princes. Now that my general's residence has lost its power, you are here to threaten an orphan girl. You have really broadened my horizons." Lu Zian immediately said in a flustered and exasperated manner, "Yangchun Baixue, I'm here to say these words to you because of our past friendship. Since you don't know what's good for you, I'll tell you the truth. It's impossible to take back Father's imperial edict. You have to do what you have to do whether you want to do it or not." Chapter 45-34. "I want to eat meat." Yangchun Baixue straightened her back and said in a cold voice, "You have to do it even if you don't want to? What if I die?" Lu Zian was stunned at first, then he said viciously, "Die? Even if you die, you have to die as the crown prince's good wife." Lu Zian saw that Yangchun Baixue had suffered a blow and said hypocritically, "Shuer, what we said just now was just words of anger. Stay at home and prepare for marriage. When you get married, I will definitely treat you well." Seeing that Yangchun Baixue was in a daze, the corners of his mouth curled up into a disdainful smile. He turned around and left. However, he suddenly shivered and felt a strong murderous intent. He turned his head and saw He Xingjiu lying on the wall of the courtyard. Lu Ziyan immediately showed a contemptuous look. He must have been hallucinating. It was impossible for this useless puppet to have such strong killing intent. He snorted coldly and left with his men. Yun Chujio narrowed her eyes and looked at Lu Ziyan's back. It seemed that there were scumbags in all races and races. This Lu Ziyan was really a scumbag. He Xingjiu sighed for a while and floated down. She saw that Yangchun Baixue was still in a daze, so she waved her claws at Yangchun Baixue. Yangchun Baixue finally came back to her senses. She ignored He Xingjiu and staggered into the courtyard to close the door. He Xingjiu, who was locked outside the door. Hey, did you forget something? Your puppet is still outside. He Xingjiu curled her lips. Humph, since that was the case, she would go out for a stroll and take a stroll around the capital city of the demon race. Unfortunately, she did not walk far before she was pulled into the general's residence by a suction force. Only then did she remember that the puppet could not be too far away from the host. Very soon she saw Yangchun Baixue, who was crying on the bed. This fellow rolled his eyes. What was the use of crying? Would crying make the emperor take back the imperial edict or that bullshit crown prince die? He Xingjiu held her chin and looked at Yangchun Baixue, who was crying non-stop. She thought to herself, as expected of the Yang clan. Their crying skills were really amazing. So hungry, shouldn't it be time for dinner? This fellow was so hungry that it was unbearable. She tried to adjust the demonic power in her body. With great difficulty, she concentrated the demonic power on one finger and poked Yangchun Baixue, who was crying non-stop. Yangchun Baixue was stunned. She looked at He Xingjiu in disbelief. She was poked by a puppet just now. How was this possible? Didn't she not have a physical body? And she was sure that it was a finger that poked her, not the demonic power. How was this possible? Yun Chujio was not in the mood to pay attention to her surprise. She mouthed, cook, cook, cook. Yangchun Baixue. She used to have a mute slave by her side so she could read lips. She immediately understood that Yun Chujio was talking about cooking. The puppet she summoned was not a puppet but a good-for-nothing, right? Also, whose puppet could speak. Although it did not make a sound, the mouth shape clearly indicated that she could speak. Yun Chujio saw that Yangchun Baixue seemed to understand her mouth shape and immediately said excitedly, "Little meme, I want to eat meat. I want to eat meat." Yangchun Baixue. What the hell was little meme? Chapter 45-35 Eating chicken. He Xingjiu saw that Yangchun Baixue was in a daze and immediately floated towards the kitchen. Yangchun Baixue came back to her senses and quickly followed. However, after being interrupted by He Xingjiu, her originally sorrowful mood was somewhat alleviated. She began to wash the rice and cook while He Xingjiu floated outside the kitchen to play. This guy thought that it was actually quite good to be a puppet. He could play with food and drink. Yangchun Baixue recalled that Yun Chujio said that she wanted to eat meat, but there were only vegetables and no meat in the kitchen. When she was at a loss, she heard the screams of a chicken coming from outside. She ran out and saw that her weird puppet was chasing after a chicken. As she was not familiar with her demonic power, she could not catch the chicken, but it was covered in feathers. When He Xingjiu saw Yangchun Baixue, she immediately said excitedly, "Eat the chicken, eat the chicken, eat the chicken." Yangchun Baixue looked at He Xingjiu speechlessly and had no choice but to catch the chicken and start to clean it up. There were also ordinary wild beasts in the demon territory. These beasts were similar to the beasts of the human world and did not have the slightest bit of intelligence. Therefore, these demons did not feel any psychological pressure when they ate these wild beasts. He Xingjiu stroked her chin as she watched Yangchun Baixue kill the chicken. She thought to herself that although little Meme liked to cry a little, it treated her puppet pretty well. It actually killed the chicken. Yangchun Baixue cleaned up the chicken and put it into the pot to stew. He Xingjiu stared at it with her eyes wide open. She was so greedy that she could not stop. Yangchun Baixue was speechless when she saw her greedy look. Was she summoning a puppet or a good-for-nothing? When the chicken was cooked, Yangchun Baixue fed He Xingjiu again. After He Xingjiu had eaten her fill, she jumped back to Yangchun Baixue and fell asleep. Yangchun Baixue smiled bitterly. She was summoning an ancestor. She was in a bad mood and could not eat after eating half a bowl of rice. He Xingjiu had a good sleep. When she walked out, she found Yangchun Baixue crying in the ancestral hall again. She could not help but roll her eyes. This little Meme was good at everything except crying. Stop crying. It's so annoying. He Xinjiu said unhappily. Yang Chen Baixue who was crying. He Xinjiu saw that Yang Chen Baixue was crying non-stop. It was as if Tang Sanzang was reciting the scriptures. She simply floated outside. It was better to be out of sight than out of mind. To her surprise, Yang Chen Baixue also came out. She said while crying, "Do you also think that I'm useless? I can't do anything except cry." Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and said word by word, "You know how to cook." She thought for a moment and added sincerely, "It's quite delicious." Yang Chen Baixue. However, after being teased by He Xinjiu, her sadness was somewhat relieved. She sobbed and said, "I know that I'm useless, but my demon essence is different from others. I've tried my best to cultivate it to this level. I'm cultivating when others are resting, and I'm cultivating when others are playing. But even so, I'm still the weakest." Yang Chen Baixue didn't expect Yun Chujio to comfort her. She just found a person to talk to and continued, "When father and mother were alive, none of them dared to bully me. Even though I was useless, they all fawned on me and flattered me. But after father and mother passed away, everything changed." Chapter 45-36. Where did the confidence come from? He Xinjiu was not surprised by what Yang Chen Baixue said at all. Human relationships were always cold and warm. Yang Chen Baixue said self-mockingly, "I was blind in the past and thought that the crown prince had a sincere heart for me. However, ever since my parents passed away, I knew that he only took a fancy to my parents' power. The reason why he didn't let me go was because he suspected that my parents had left me some treasures and wanted to keep them for himself. Moreover, he could also leave a good reputation and give the sheep tribe an explanation." Yun Chujio nodded. Although the little Ba liked to cry, it was still clear-headed. "Then what do you plan to do?" "Tomorrow morning, I will go to meet the emperor and request the emperor to revoke the marriage. Even if I am punished, I will not become some crown prince's wife." Yun Chujio shook her head. "Since they have already planned it out, they will not revoke the marriage. Even so, I still want to give it a try. If worst comes to worst, I will just crash into the Golden Hall and die," Yang Chen Baixue said firmly. "Little Meme, it's better to die than to stay alive. Don't be a fool," He Xinjiu advised. A trace of warmth welled up in Yang Chen Baixu's heart. Although this puppet was a little weird, it still cared about her. "It doesn't matter if you die. Who will cook for me? Besides, if you die, will I die as well? I haven't lived long enough. You are not allowed to die," He Xinjiu said fiercely. Yang Chen Baixue. "Little Meme, your parents definitely don't want you to die like this. If you commit suicide, would it be worth it to them? Isn't it just an engagement? What's so difficult about it? Don't worry, as long as I'm here, no one will dare to make things difficult for you," He Xinjiu said confidently. Yang Chen Baixue looked at He Xinjiu speechlessly. Where did this good-for-nothing puppet get his confidence from? However, Yun Chujio's words had touched her. She could not die just like that. Otherwise, she would not have the face to meet her parents. Yang Chen Baixue listened to He Xinjiu's boisterous words and her mouth opened wide in surprise. Could this work? However, she was at a loss and could only try her best. The next morning, Yang Chen Baixue waited on the puppet ancestor for breakfast before bringing He Xinjiu out of the general's residence. He Xinjiu looked around as she floated. She was amazed. The imperial city of the demon race was quite prosperous. It was really strange that there were no records of such a large demon realm in the outside world. When they were about to reach the imperial palace, He Xinjiu jumped into Yang Chen Baixu's brows under her pleas. Anyway, she could see and hear everything with her spiritual sense, so they could just go in. Yang Chen Baixue took a deep breath. She had always lived as if she was treading on thin ice. She did not dare to take even half a step. However, today, for the sake of her parents' face and the dignity of the Yangs, she was willing to risk everything. When the imperial guard saw Yang Chen Baixue step forward to stop her, Yang Chen Baixue sneered, "The imperial edict in my hand is the retired emperor's. Who dares to stop me?" When the imperial guard saw the imperial edict in Yang Chen Baixu's hand, they immediately did not dare to come any closer. They even knelt on the ground. Yang Chen Baixue straightened her back and held the imperial edict as she walked step by step into the throne room. She was glad that the good-for-nothing puppet had given her the idea. Otherwise, she would have been chased away by someone with an excuse if she could not even enter the throne room. There was an early morning court today. Yang Chen Baixue felt a lot of pity, schadenfreude, or cold gazes the moment she walked into the throne room. Chapter 45-37 faced the emperor. Although those ministers had seen the decree given by the retired emperor in Yang Chunbake's hands, they didn't kneel down. They were different from those imperial guards. The emperor was a minister, and the retired emperor had passed away. They were loyal to the current emperor, so they naturally didn't have so many scruples. Yang Chunbaishue walked to the place where the audience was and stopped. Your Majesty, I have the imperial edict of the retired emperor, so it is not convenient for me to bow to you. Your Majesty, please do not blame me, Yang Chunbaishue said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Although Yang Chunbaishue looked very calm on the surface, her legs were actually trembling. Could that good-for-nothing puppet's rotten idea work? The emperor would not directly condemn her, right? Emperor Kang Xiao, who was on the dragon throne, frowned. This Yang Chunbaishue had always been very timid. Today she actually had the audacity to come here with the imperial edict of the retired emperor. What did she want to do? Could it be that she wanted to force him to make her the crown prince's consort again? What wishful thinking. Although Emperor Kang Xiao was displeased, he still looked amiable on the surface. Little Schwer, you came here today to thank me, right? I know all your intentions. You can leave now. Hei Xinjiu curled her lips. This Emperor Kang Xiao was indeed cunning, much more cunning than his white lotus son Duan. Yang Chunbaishue thought of Yun Chujia's plan and did not say a word. She just sobbed. She was already sad, so naturally she cried her heart out. Some of the ministers had already expressed their sympathy for her situation, but now that they saw her crying so sadly, the sympathy on their faces grew even stronger. Yang Chunbaishue avoided Lu Xian's outstretched hand and sobbed as she said, Your Majesty, I know that my demonic power is too low to be a match for the crown prince, so I implore your Majesty to take back your order and reward me with free marriage in the future. Emperor Kang Xiao's face immediately darkened. Little Schwer, are you blaming me for changing you from the crown prince's wife to the crown prince's wife? The crown prince's wife will be the mother of a country in the future. Your demonic power is so weak and your puppet is a human. I had no choice but to change my position as the crown prince's wife. However, on account of the fact that you have no one to rely on, I have made you the crown prince's wife. What are you still unhappy about? If it was in the past, Yang Chunbaishue would probably not be able to say anything as she was intimidated by Emperor Kang Xiao's pressure. But when she thought of her parents' face, the dignity of the Yang clan, and the words that Yun Chujio had told her, she clenched her fists tightly and said, Your Majesty, I dare not have any dissatisfaction. I also know your good intentions. But I know that I am not worthy of the crown prince, and I am not willing to drag the crown prince down. Please take back your orders. If it were not for Yun Chujia's instructions, Yang Chunbaishue would definitely say something about the Yang family's ancestral teachings that the Yang family's daughters would never be concubines. If that was the case, Emperor Kang Xiao would be labeled as having a country greater than his family and a ruler greater than his subjects. Yang Chunbaishue would be rendered speechless. However, she was using the fact that she was not worthy of the crown prince as an excuse. Emperor Kang Xiao could not slap his own face and insist that Yang Chunbaishue was worthy of the crown prince. Emperor Kang Xiao did not know what to do at the moment. He was naturally unwilling to cancel the marriage. However, Yang Chunbaishue was holding the imperial edict of the retired emperor and was a loyal subject. It was not appropriate for him to turn hostile. Chapter 45-38 Demon Heaven Bell Emperor Kang Xiao was in a difficult position when Prime Minister Tu, who was also Tu Meyer's father, bowed and said, Your Majesty, I don't know what to say. Emperor Kang Xiao nodded. Yes. Your Majesty, although what Yang Chunbaishue said is true, she is not worthy of the crown prince, but you are a gold-tongued jade, words naturally cannot be so revoked. Why not let her hit the demon sky bell? If she can make it ring, then agree to her request. If she can't make it ring, then she has nothing to say. A trace of viciousness flashed in Prime Minister Tu's eyes. This Yang Chunbaishue would be a disaster sooner or later. Taking the opportunity to kill her would save her trouble in the future. When the ministers heard Prime Minister Tu's words, they immediately exploded. They began to discuss in low voices, what a joke. Hit the demon sky bell? Let's not talk about whether it will ring or not. The pressure of the demon sky bell alone is not something that Yang Chunbaishue can withstand. If the demon sky bell doesn't ring, her life will be in danger. Prime Minister Tu's method is really... TSK, I reckon that Yang Chunbaishue would definitely not dare to agree. After all, throughout history, no one has been able to ring the demon sky bell. Although the various ministers were discussing animatedly, due to Prime Minister Tu's authority, many of them stopped mid-sentence. Some only shook their heads repeatedly. Although they sympathized with Yangchun Baixue, they did not dare to say anything more. They were all certain that Yangchun Baixue would not agree to the Demon Sky Bell because that would be akin to sending herself to her death. Emperor Kong Xiao's eyes lit up as he looked at Prime Minister Tu with appreciation and said, "Prime Minister Tu is right. Little Shuer, you can either agree to the Demon Sky Bell or go back and prepare for marriage. If you say anything more, don't blame me for not showing you any mercy." He Xinjiu had a bad feeling when she heard about the Demon Sky Bell. Would little Meme be stupid? However, before she could think of a way to stop it, she heard Yangchun Baixue say firmly, "I am willing to go and hit the Demon Sky Bell." He Xinjiu was so angry that she started to twitch. This idiot. Didn't he tell her that if there was something she could not solve, she would cry and faint? Why did he agree to it? It was infuriating. Emperor Kong Xiao and the civil and military officials were stunned. They had never thought that Yangchun Baixue would really be willing to hit the Demon Sky Bell. Was she willing to die rather than marry the crown prince and become his wife? Some people thought that Yangchun Baixue was too stupid, extremely stupid. Some people thought that Yangchun Baixue was indeed worthy of being the descendant of the Yang family. Although she was weak, she still had her pride. Emperor Kong Xiao frowned. "Little Shuer, you have to know that the Demon Sky Bell's pressure is extremely strong, and your monster power is very low. If you are not careful, your little life will be lost there. Are you really willing to hit the Demon Sky Bell?" "I am willing," said Yangchun Baixue slowly. Even if there was a slight chance of winning, she would still give it a try. Besides, even if she died, it would be better than being humiliated by marrying the crown prince. He Xinjiu was so angry that she wanted to rush out and give Yangchun Baixue a good beating. However, this fellow knew that she was just a small piece of trash now. If she were to rush out recklessly, her little life would be in danger. Therefore, no matter how angry she was, she could only endure it. When she returned to the general's residence, she would definitely give this little Meme a good scolding. Seeing that Yangchun Baixue had made up her mind, Emperor Kong Xiao pretended to sigh. "Little Shuer, since you have already made up your mind, it is not my place to say anything more. Then you should go back and prepare. 3 days later, I will order someone to open the enchantment of the Demon Heaven Bell and let you go in and crash into it." Chapter 45-39 continued to eat chicken. Emperor Kong Xiao paused for a moment and continued, "If you can ring the Demon Sky Bell, your engagement with the Crown Prince will be nullified. In the future you can marry freely and no one is allowed to interfere. But if you can't ring the Demon Sky Bell, then you should properly prepare for marriage in the general's residence. Do you understand?" "I understand. Thank you for your kindness, master." Yangchun Baixue straightened her back and said. Emperor Kong Xiao waved his hand, signaling for Yangchun Baixue to leave. Although Yangchun Baixue's death was a little troublesome, they hadn't found any clues left behind by her parents after so many years. They probably didn't leave anything behind. As for the Yang clan HMPH, they had always been good for nothings. There was nothing to be afraid of. Yangchun Baixue exited the throne room and returned to the general's residence in a daze. The moment she entered the general's residence, He Xinjiu floated out and scolded Yangchun Baixue. "Little Meme, are you stupid? What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you to cry if something unexpected happened? If it really doesn't work out, just pretend to faint and wait for us to come up with a countermeasure before going to face the emperor. Is your brain a pig's brain?" Although Yangchun Baixue knew how to read lips, He Xinjiu was scolding her very quickly. She did not really understand it, but she knew that He Xinjiu was scolding her. She laughed bitterly. "I know you hate me, but you've seen it for yourself. I'm just an orphan girl with no support. How can I fight against the royal family and the Tu family? If the demon ancestor has eyes, let me ring the Demon Sky Bell and everything will be settled. If I can't ring the Demon Sky Bell, let the world see their ugly faces. I've also gone to see my parents for nothing." Yun Chujiu rolled her eyes. If this little Meme was not her host, she would not have bothered with such a blockhead. She deserved to die. She did not know how to be flexible at all. It was better to ask for help than to beg for help from others. If she placed her hopes on the illusory demon ancestor, how could she have the freedom to control her own fate? In a fit of anger, He Xinjiu floated proudly into the chicken coop and began to catch chickens. Yangchun Baixue thought that He Xinjiu would definitely complain endlessly, but who would have thought that this fellow would actually go and catch chickens? She asked in confusion, "What are you going to do?" Yun Chujio curled her lips. Kill chickens. The chicken you stewed yesterday was quite delicious. Anyway, it's going to die, so why don't you let me be a satiated ghost? Yang Chun Baishue was speechless when she saw Yun Chujio chasing the chickens around the chicken coop. These days were really terrible. Two hours later, He Xinjiu, who was full, glanced at Yang Chun Baishue. Tell me about the demon sky bell. Maybe I can help you bang it. After all, there are still quite a few chickens left in the chicken coop. If you die like this, who will cook the chicken for me? Yang Chun Baishue sighed. She had no confidence in her good-for-nothing puppet at all. But when she thought that she was going to lose her life because of her, she said patiently, "It is said that the demon sky bell is a treasure left by the demon ancestor. No one can move it and no one can ring it. Moreover, it will emit a terrifying pressure. Therefore, it has always been blocked by the barrier. If anyone wants to disobey the holy order, they can ring the demon sky bell on their own request. However, until now, no one has been able to ring the demon sky bell." Chapter 45-40. The right hand condensed into a solid form. Yun Chujia's eyes lit up when she heard Yang Chun Baixu's words. She said sneakily, "Then if I help you ring the demon sky bell, does that mean that the demon sky bell belongs to me?" Yang Chun Baishue stared at Yun Chujio with her mouth agape. She even suspected that she had misunderstood her lip language. Was there something wrong with this good-for-nothing puppet's brain? Putting aside the fact that it was just a good-for-nothing puppet that couldn't help her ring the demon sky bell, even if it did ring, the demon sky bell wouldn't recognize a puppet as its master. Moreover, the demon sky bell was a treasure left behind by the demon ancestor. No one could make it recognize its master. Yang Chun Baishue sighed. "You're thinking too much. Even if I could ring the demon sky bell wouldn't recognize me as its master, much less recognize a puppet like you as its master." Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. "Don't make it sound so absolute. Maybe the demon sky bell will shamelessly acknowledge me as its master when it sees that I'm so good-looking." Yang Chun Baishue looked at He Xinjia's pitch-black face speechlessly. Such an honor did not have anything to do with good-looking. Seeing that Yang Chun Baishue did not say anything, He Xinjiu blinked her eyes and said, "Come on, let's go and read some books. The storybooks of your demon race are quite nice. But can you help me buy some of those storybooks where a woman marries 8 men? Yang Chun Baishue staggered and almost fell to the ground. Her face turned red instantly. How can you read those storybooks?" Yun Chujio was very interested. From what you mean, there really are those storybooks. Come on, let's go and buy a few hundred of them." Yang Chun Baishue naturally would not listen to He Xinjiu. She ignored her and entered the study. "Little Meme, I'm your blood puppet. Want your conscience hurt if you treat me like this? Little Meme, I'm about to lose my little life because of you. Can't you fulfill one of my dying wishes?" Yang Chun Baishue decided not to look at He Xinjiu. Since He Xinjiu could not make a sound, it was better for her not to see it. Seeing that Yang Chun Baishue ignored her, He Xinjiu was furious. In a moment of desperation, she poured her demonic energy into her right hand and knocked the book out of Yang Chun Baixu's hand. Both Yang Chun Baishue and He Xinjiu were stunned. He Xinjiu looked at her right hand. For a moment, her right hand seemed to have condensed into a solid body. Yang Chun Baishue stood up in excitement. "Did your right hand just condense into a solid body? Previously, when one of your fingers condensed into a solid body, I thought it was an illusion. But now, it seems that in time, you will definitely be able to cultivate into a solid body." He Xinjiu was also a little excited, but she still rolled her eyes and said, "Even if what you said is true, what's the use? If you die, I probably won't be able to live. You heartless person, why didn't you buy me a script? I'm so pitiful." Yang Chun Baishue looked speechlessly at He Xinjiu, who was acting shamelessly. She was pitiful? With such a demon puppet, she, the host, was the pitiful one. Yang Chun Baishue sighed. "Alright, I'll bring you to the conversation bookshop. But let's make a deal first. When the time comes, you'll stay in my sea of consciousness and not come out to cause trouble." He Xinjiu nodded repeatedly. "Little Meme, don't worry. I'll definitely be obedient." After saying that, He Xinjiu drilled into Yang Chun Baixu's glabella, acting like an obedient baby. Chapter 45-41. Buying a storybook. Yang Chun Baishue walked out of the mansion and bumped into Tu Meyer. "Yang Liang Yuan, where are you going?" I heard that you are going to ring the demon sky bell? TSK, it seems that not only are you useless, but your brain is also not working well. Do you think that you can ring the demon sky bell? Tu Meyer said sarcastically. Yang Chun Baishua did not want to waste her breath on Tu Meyer. She wanted to leave but was blocked by Tu Meyer's men. Yang Chun Baishua could only say, Tu Meyer, I don't want to waste my breath on you. Get out of my way. What a joke. This road does not belong to your Yang family. What's wrong with us leaving? If you ask me, a good-for-nothing like you. Slap. Before Tu Meyer could finish her sentence, she was slapped across the face. The force of the slap was so strong that she staggered back. Yang Chun Baishua looked at the impatient-looking He Xinjiu with a dumbfounded expression. He Xinjiu glared fiercely at Tu Meyer. Damn it, he dared to delay little Meme buying her a storybook. He was really courting death. Tu Meyer did not regain her senses for a long while. Yang Chun Baixu's human puppet had just hit her with its hand, right? Could it be that she had already cultivated to a physical form? How was this possible? She had only been summoned for 2 days, and she had already cultivated a physical body? Even if it was just a right hand, this was too unbelievable. He Xinjiu gave Yang Chun Baishua a look. Did that mean that she should leave as soon as possible? Yang Chun Baishua came back to her senses. While Tu Meyer and her subordinates were still in a daze, she took He Xinjiu and left. Tu Meyer had suffered such a huge loss, so she would not let it go. She chased after her angrily with her subordinates. Yang Chun Baishua, you bitch, stop right there. Why aren't you running? Idiot. He Xinjiu mouthed to Yang Chun Baishua. Yang Chun Baishua had no choice but to run with He Xinjiu. After turning a few corners, they arrived at the busiest street in the imperial city and entered a bookstore. He Xinjiu had just jumped out. Now she was like a little mouse that had entered a rice vat. Naturally, she would not return to Yang Chun Baixu's sea of consciousness. She quickly found the place where the conversation book was placed, looking at the words on the cover, such as the harem past that the Fox Empress had to tell and the 108 husbands of the Snake Princess. She was so happy that flowers bloomed. Yang Chun Baishua looked at the wretched appearance of her puppet and was dumbfounded. Not only did she summon a foodie, but she also summoned a fucking pervert. Little Meme, buy it all. He Xinjiu rubbed her hands excitedly. This demon race was indeed talented. Just looking at the cover, she felt that it was pretty good. Especially when she saw the meaningful eyes of the bookstore owner and the shop assistant. She wished she could find a hole to hide in. What could she do? Could she tell the bookstore owner and the shop assistant that these notebooks were for her puppet to read? He Xinjiu was so happy that she was about to fly up, following behind Yang Chun Baishua. The bookstore owner and the shop assistant looked at her curiously, thinking that this puppet's face was really dark. Yang Chun Baishua paid the bill, put the script into her storage ring, and brought He Xinjiu out of the bookstore. He Xinjiu floated in front of Yang Chun Baishua and said, Little Meme, go and buy me something delicious. Pastries, candied fruits, dried meat, dried fruit, am not picky. Yang Chun Baishua was already numb. Since she had already bought the script, she did not need the pastries anymore. She would just treat it as if she had raised an ancestor. Chapter 45-42. He Xinjiu's power. Yang Chun Baishua and He Xinjiu had just arrived at the dim sum shop when they were stopped by the furious Tu Meyer and her men. Bitch, either you kneel down and apologize to me or I'll slap you twice. Otherwise I'll have your puppet destroyed. Tu Meyer said fiercely. If it were in the past, Yang Chun Baishua might have given in. But now that she was determined to die, she was much bolder than usual. She sneered, Tu Meyer, you're the one who made a fuss first. Why should I apologize to you? Tu Meyer saw that the usually submissive Yang Chun Baishua actually dared to talk to her like this, so she immediately raised her hand and slapped Yang Chun Baixu's face. Yang Chun Baishua reached out and grabbed Tu Meyer's wrist. Tu Meyer, don't go too far. Tu Meyer broke free from Yang Chun Baixu's hand. Her eyes flashed with viciousness. Bitch, you dare to resist? You're courting death. Tu Meyer immediately activated her demonic power and attacked Yang Chun Baishua. Yang Chun Baixu's demonic power level was much lower than Tu Meyer's. She was no match for Tu Meyer. In just a few moves she was forced to retreat. Tu Meyer's face revealed a contemptuous expression. Yang Chun Baishua, it's still not too late for you to kneel down to me. Otherwise it won't be as simple as kneeling down. The onlookers pointed and commented that Yang Chun Baishua is really overestimating herself. She is only at the 3rd layer of the demonic beginning stage, and that Tu Meyer is at the 6th layer of the demonic beginning stage. Isn't she asking for humiliation? Putting aside the demonic power level, the general's residence is just an empty shell now, and Prime Minister Tu is like the sun in the sky. Yangchun Baixue is really asking for trouble. If it were a few days ago, Yangchun Baixue would still have the title of the future Crown Prince's consort. But now that Tu Meyer has become the future Crown Prince's consort, she is just a good-for-nothing. There's no way to compare. Some members of the Yang clan shook their heads and sighed. It was not that they did not want to help, but they were simply too weak. Now the Yang clan was really in decline. At this moment, Yangchun Baixue was forced by Tu Meyer to stagger and fall to the ground. Tu Meyer used her foot to step on her lower abdomen and said disdainfully, "Trash is trash. You can't even withstand 10 moves from me. Men, hold her and kowtow to me to admit your mistake. Slap her 10 more times to let her learn her lesson." Tu Meyer naturally wanted to kill Yangchun Baixue directly in her heart. However, this was the imperial city after all. Moreover, Yangchun Baixue was the crown prince's good wife, so she naturally had some scruples. However, as long as she entered the crown prince's residence, she had many ways to quietly kill her. Yangchun Baixue was filled with grief and indignation. This was the first time she resented herself for being weak and powerless. If she really kowtowed to Tu Meyer in public today, how would she have the face to live in this world? How would she have the face to meet her parents and clansmen? Just as Yangchun Baixue was in despair, Tu Meyer let out a scream. Everyone looked at Tu Meyer, only to see a human puppet's hand tightly clutching Tu Meyer's slender neck. Oh my god, that's Yangchun Baix's puppet. Hasn't this puppet only been summoned for 2 days? Now it has already condensed into a hand? That's nothing. Tu Meyer is in the 6th layer of the Yaochu realm. How did that puppet succeed? Tu Meyer's handmaidens wanted to save Tu Meyer, but Yun Chujia's hand gripped Tu Meyer's neck tightly. They didn't dare to act rashly. Especially Yun Chujia's murderous gaze. Although it didn't have any substance, it made them tremble in fear. They were stunned for a moment. Chapter 45-43. Uninvited guest. Yangchun Baixue was also extremely shocked. Even though her good-for-nothing puppet had formed its right hand previously, it did not last long. How did it manage to strangle Tu Meyer this time? She was afraid that Yun Chujio would not be able to form a physical body after a while. She coldly said to Tu Meyer's maidservants, "All of you step back. I will have my puppet release Tu Meyer. Otherwise we will die together." Those handmaidens were afraid that something would happen to Tu Meyer, so they let go of Yangchun Baixue and retreated to Tu Meyer's side. Only then did Yun Chujio release Tu Meyer. That damned woman. She had previously delayed little Meme buying her a script, and now she had delayed little Meme buying her delicious food. She was really courting death. Tu Meyer would not let it go so easily. Just as she was about to order her servants to release the puppets to deal with Yangchun Baixue and He Xinjiu, the voice of the crown prince, Lu Zian, came from behind her. The malevolence on Tu Meyer's face instantly turned into a grievance. She turned her head and said with a choked voice, "Your Highness, Yangchun Baixue ordered her puppets to strangle my neck. You have to give me justice." Yun Chujio curled her lips. Tu Meyer and that bullshit crown prince were really a couple. They were both good at acting. Lu Zian saw the bruise on Tu Meyer's neck and said with heartache, "I have a pill here to reduce swelling and remove bruises. It'll help you apply it in a while. You'll be fine soon. Swear this is your fault. How can you treat Meyer like this? However, for the sake of the past, I won't pursue you this time. If there's a next time, HMP. Meyer, let's go." Tu Meyer knew that Lu Zian was trying to help Yangchun Baixue, so she secretly gritted her teeth. Could it be that the crown prince still had feelings for this bitch? However, she still said shyly, "Then well, do as your highness says. Let's go." After Lu Zian left with Tu Meyer and the others, He Xinjiu felt a little dizzy. It must have been caused by the overuse of her demonic power, so she had no choice but to hide between Yangchun Baix's eyebrows. Yangchun Baixue could not help but feel a little anxious when she saw her weak appearance. However, it was strange that other people's puppets and their masters were telepathically connected. They could communicate with each other using their spiritual senses. However, her puppet was very strange, so she could only communicate with her lips. Therefore she had no way to ask. Just as she was about to return to the general's residence, she stopped and entered the pastry shop next door. The onlookers curled their lips. This Yangchun Baixue was really big-hearted. She actually had the time to buy snacks. How would they know that Yangchun Baixue was buying these for her gluttonous puppet? Yang Chun Baishue bought some pastries and candied fruits before returning to the general's residence. However, when she saw the two people at the door, her expression immediately turned gloomy. "Ni Shuer, you're back? Your second aunt and I came to see you," said a middle-aged man. Although he was quite good-looking, the fawning and scheming expression on his face was really displeasing. A fat woman beside him said loudly, "Yes, Ni Shuer, I heard that you're going to hit the demon heaven bell? You little girl are really too impulsive. Aren't you courting death? Besides, what's wrong with becoming the crown prince's good wife? Eating and drinking well. In the future, if the crown prince becomes the emperor, he might even make you a noble consort." Yang Chun Baishue said coldly, "Second aunt, be careful with your words. Could it be that you're cursing the current emperor?" The fat woman's face immediately turned pale. I didn't mean that. What I meant was that you should stop hitting the demon sky bell and get married. If you need any help, your second uncle and I can help you." You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.